pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Conley. Director Bennett.
Here.
Director Hogan.
Here.
Vice President Davis.
Here.
Director McKee. Director Reese. Director Miller. Director Whitman. Director Livingston. Madam President.
Chair recognizes our student board representative, President Guerrero.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Alexander, and this is my first meeting here in game during this time, so I couldn't make it. But I'm really happy to be here today. And I was the representative last year, so I'm just happy to be back. And I just wanted to come in and fill you guys in with some stuff. So this month we have our upcoming PBIS reward, and I'm sure you guys know just students get the opportunity to pick a reward, and since it's like the fall season, they get to tie it in with some like Halloween baking or something just to make it fun and for the season. And we've also had our senior night for fall sports, so like boys and girls soccer had their senior night, and I had my senior night for soccer as well. And then we had tennis, we had field hockey, and we had football, cheerleading, and they're just celebrating their last years for seniors. And we also had two students, two Game Time Players of the Week, Dylan Haley for boys soccer, and that was for the week of October 6th through the 11th. And we also had Tristan Smallwood on September 29th through October 4th. And we've also had a lot of students nominated for Athlete of the Week. We had 8, and we had 4 cross-country runners advance to districts, and that was Matthew McKinney, Nathan Mong, Alexander Myers, and Kira Ryder. And we even had 2 golfers advance to state. So we have a lot of student athletes who are just making it to the next level. And it's just really nice to see. But these 2 golfers were Patrick Knob and Lawson Leeper. And for academics and school, we had Dover participate in the Rotary for Students of the Month, and I was one of them, and Olivia Murrin for Rotary Students of the Month. And for CT Pathways, we've also had many students who are seniors who took their CT tests, and we had 80 students take their pre-NOCTI. So we had for ag, we had for marketing, for accounting, many like job areas that they're just trying to get their completion on to wrap the school year. And we have the end of our marking period. Tomorrow we have an early dismissal, and that's our first quarter out of the 4, especially for my senior year. So it's all just going super fast, but it's been a great start to the year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Trent Lenhart, second meeting here, and I'm going to be telling you about some upcoming events and some ones we've had previously through the month of October. So previously, through the week of the 14th, we had Project Harmony in the Latinx Club sponsored a Spirit Week. Tuesday was Wear a Ribbon in Your Hair Day, which was to represent a country. Wednesday was Wear a Jersey Day. Thursday, wear Y2K outfits, and Friday was wear traditional clothing. We also had more than 60 students take the ASVAB at the end of September. The Messiah University trip with the Choristers Messiah University trip for the choir students went over really well through, I forget what day that was. Sorry, guys. I genuinely forget what day that was. Okay. And then coming up, we have the Trunk or Treat, which is going to be Wednesday, October 29th from 6 to 8. Vendors that are going to be there is going to be the Brickers French Fries, the Farm Show Famous Milkshakes, Crazy Herder Smokehouse, and Crazy Glazed Donuts. A percentage of all proceeds are going to be gifted to the Seasons of Giving. Parent conferences are coming up November 5th, and we also have our Powder Puff football game November 13th from 3:30 to 5:30. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions from the board? I just have one. What is a Y2K outfit?
It's basically like, it sums up like the 2000s. I mean, many teachers were wondering that. I remember when people set it up, like all of the teachers were like, what is Y2K? But it's basically representative of like the 2000s fashion.
Okay. It's just hard to believe that that's old. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for the report.
you.
Appreciate that. Lots of great stuff going on in the school so far. All right, this takes us to our first public comment period. The public comment period is used as an opportunity for the board to listen, but not to debate issues or enter into a question and answer session with the speaker. Public comment must be germane to school district business. The board values civil and respectful statements, clear and concise communications that help to inform its deliberations. We'll have 2 public comment periods. The first one begins now. Each speaker will have 30 minutes to, each speaker will have 3 minutes. This could go on for a while, right? Each speaker will have 3 minutes to present their comments, and there'll be a clock on the wall behind me on the screen and over on the screen to my right. You'll notice me looking over there a lot, trying to keep track, but sometimes I'll have to rely on the folks sitting beside me to let me know that the time's run out, because sometimes I get caught up in the comments. It'll be a 30-minute period. The second 30-minute period will be towards the end of the meeting, where each speaker will have 2 minutes. If you've spoken the first time, you can still speak the second time. You'll just have to go in order. So anyone seeking to make public comment tonight?
Good evening. Andrew Stefanovich, I signed in. When you get to the discussion of the AP textbook up for approval, I urge you to put your personal and political biases aside and do your job, which is to make decisions based on what's best for the education of our students. This textbook has been in print since 1996, continuously updated to reflect current history. It has been specifically adapted to meet the standards of the AP exam, which is governed by the College Board, a national organization of over 6,000 educational institutions whose mission is to provide fair, rigorous, and standardized curriculum and testing for college readiness. The story of our country is not yours to rewrite or tailor to personal preference. Historians, like the one who wrote this book and adapted it for the AP test, are the experts entrusted to tell that story, and they are not alone. Development editors, content editors, copy editors, proofreaders, and reviewers all contribute to ensuring accuracy, balance, and factual integrity of any textbook. Last week, I sat here with my teenage son as the board allowed our students to be harshly criticized, disrespected, and reduced to the latest Fox News talking points. I leaned over and told him he could leave rather than sit through someone speaking so ill of his generation. Members of this board have claimed that our students lack pride in America. I would ask you to provide specific examples, since this concern has never been raised before, until now, when suddenly again it mirrors another political talking point. Patriotism cannot be forced into our children through censored textbooks or selective storytelling. It grows through action, example, and honest education. True pride in America comes from understanding all of its history, the successes and the mistakes, and recognizing how we have grown because of both. If we want our students to love this country, we must first trust them enough to learn its full history. As a Dover parent for the past 17 years, I am getting tired of members of our current school board claiming that our students have no patriotism and are not being taught to love our country. I would love for you to make those claims to my 22-year-old son's face. He signed up to give his life to this country at the age of 17. Yes, he needed parental consent signatures to do so. It's bad enough that our youngest has to hear you say it over and over when he goes through every day of his life without having an older brother around because his brother chose love of country over comfort of family. Both of my children are making sacrifices for this country in their own way. If those are not examples of American pride, I don't know what is.
Thank you, Mrs. Stefanovich. Anyone else?
Good evening. Kathy Herman, and I signed in outside. A conversation I heard last week concerning the selection of advanced placement history books reminded me of a similar time about 20 years ago when that board felt they knew more than the teachers and picked an inappropriate text to be used in biology classes. My son was in an AP class in Dover, and because the teachers prepared him to achieve by using appropriate texts approved by the college boards, he successfully passed the AP test and didn't have to take classes that were a part of his freshman coursework at Syracuse University. Because of his test scores, he was admitted to the Newhouse School of Public Communications as a freshman, something usually offered only to upperclassmen. By following the experts, our teachers are preparing our students to excel in their course of study. You need to trust their expertise. I suggest that when reading reviews of texts, you are careful not to allow your own political and religious beliefs to enter into your decision as a board member of a public school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harmon.
Hello, my name is Chase Crosley, and I signed in.
Are you 18 or older?
I'm under 18.
Okay, you'll have to be accompanied by an adult. Okay,
Good. All right.
okay. You're his father?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So currently, I am a cross-country runner of our Dover High School team, and this was my third year running cross-country. In 7th grade, I considered running cross-country, but with not having enough information, was not able to run it. But with getting enough information in 8th grade, I ran cross-country for the middle school team. And it was a really fun experience. I joined because, I thought it'd be a fun time, and even though it was hard at first, I had a lot of fun doing it, and I wanted to continue running. But I really didn't have enough information about how to continue running, and as a new experienced runner, I really didn't know what the next steps were. So after only running 4 miles once in that next summer leading up to my freshman year, I joined the freshman team for cross country, expecting better results, but did not get them, unfortunately. Then I heard that track and field was a sport. Surprising. And when I asked my coach why there wasn't a middle school team, he just said that we didn't have one. And that was a little shocking and confusing to me. I did some research, and I saw that with all our spring sports, we offer baseball, softball, lacrosse, tennis, track and field, and volleyball for senior sports in the spring, and then soccer and girls volleyball as junior sports. Now, although that there aren't some middle school sports that high school sports have, baseball and softball both offer to middle schoolers through Dover Diamond Baseball, and there are opportunities for middle schoolers to play lacrosse through Dover Youth Lacrosse. And although we don't have a tennis middle school team, most teams in the county don't have a tennis team, and plus Dover offers tennis classes for those who would like on the Tennis Pro Now website. Track and field is the only sport that Dover has that doesn't give runners opportunities, long distance, short distance, middle distance, or even throwers or jumpers, opportunities to compete in those types of sports. And I think it would be really beneficial if we add a middle school track and field team because, it gives students opportunities to continue to improve on sports like cross country or just to stay in shape. And I like to think of track and field to be multiple sports because, not only do you have running events, you have jumping and throwing events. And just all in all, I think it would be a really cool opportunity if we gave the opportunity to middle schoolers to try out new things, get out, get better exercise in, and try new things that they haven't done before. Thank you.
Okay, hold on just a second. I apologize. I need to ask you what your name was again.
Chase Crosley.
Chase Crosley. And
Yep.
The other thing I have as a comment is your presentation was exceptional. I didn't see you making notes or reading your notes. I know you have some notes there, but it just flowed from you. That was an exceptional presentation.
Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you.
I thought so too.
Jim Crosley, I also signed in. I'm going to speak on behalf of my daughter, Sophia. Sophia is a 7th grader. She ran cross country for the first time. Every Thanksgiving, we run a turkey trot as a family. And last year, she wanted to run. So I took her down to Lear Park and said, let's try running. And she ran to the first turn and started walking. I said, well, you could just walk right over to the playground. You're not quite ready to run 3 miles on Thanksgiving. But she went out to the cross country team. She was one of the slower runners. But what saddens me is she's only one of 2 7th grade runners. And going into 8th grade, right now she looks to be one of 2 8th grade runners on our cross country team. Having a son who's older, you notice that every other school in the county has much larger cross country teams than Dover. At times we struggle to get even a full varsity for the girl runners. And the reason for that is if you have a middle school track and field team, you get kids who try these different sports and fall in love with distance and realize they don't have to do distance one season a year. You can do distance both in the spring. You can actually do some of the organized practices in the summer, and it takes you right into the fall. So the reason that Dover fails to qualify for counties and move on to districts and so forth is because we have a small team, and the missing link, I think, is that we don't have the middle school track and field, which would be the feeder system to the high school track and field, but also the feeder system to the high school cross-country team. We have a great sports program. I mean, we do a lot of sports. We do a lot of sports fairly well. But the one thing we're kind of falling behind in with the rest of the county is not having that middle school track and field. It kind of puts us a step behind, not just in track and field, but also in cross-country. So I hope you consider adding that as you vote on it later this evening. If you do, that would encourage my daughter, Sophia, to maybe recruit some people during that spring season for next fall for cross-country. Thanks for your time.
Well, thank you, Mr. Crosley, and I see where your son gets it from. All right, thank you. Packed a lot into, you didn't even use all your time, you packed a lot into that. All right, anyone else?
Ashlyn Leedy, I signed in. I'm an AP US History student in Mr. Porman's class, and I'd just like to comment that I've had a tremendous amount of fun and knowledge gained in his classroom. I enjoy the subject very much. I watched the section of the last meeting where the new AP History textbook was discussed, and I'd like to advocate as a student for the passing of this textbook. I believe I speak on behalf of nearly all of my classmates who could not attend tonight that this book is not only necessary for the course, but it will be an integral portion of the U.S. History AP exam, which I am preparing to take in May. The argument that you make stating that the textbook is biased is objectively invalid. Whether you wish to accept it or not, our history is ugly. There is no way to give us, as students, a full and complete education without highlighting these topics. The white supremacy is real, the racism that African Americans have faced and continue to face is real, and the cruel things that Western settlers did to the natives is real. There are villains in history, and I feel as though we must acknowledge that to avoid ignorance. This means using these terms for what they are. I also know that this textbook has been selected by many schools and classes for the education and preparation of their students to take the AP US History exams in the spring. This specific textbook is widely selected as being the best unbiased source for a reason, and we already use their older version. All of the topics that I listed above have been taught to us in the classroom over the years, not just in Mr. Porman's room. I don't believe that discussing these topics has made us any less American. I do believe that my generation is the future of our nation and that we are looking to uphold the Constitution and that we need to be educated on our country's history to do this. As someone who's born in the Gen Z generation, I feel nothing but compassion and hope for my fellow Americans and the future of our country. The riots and protests that you see are not a product of our school system, in my opinion. I'd argue that they are a product of the current state of the world and the discontent with it. Everyone comes from different backgrounds and experiences, and I feel as if this is being discredited. By saying that my generation is going to end up anti-American just from learning about our history, just as you have, it feels inconsiderate. I understand that I have not seen this textbook in its full form, but I do know this. I need it for my education. Your claims seem biased to me and rooted in your own personal beliefs. To what point, for you, does a textbook become classified as unbiased? You cannot take the truth of these topics being present in our history out of textbooks without actively changing history. Thank you for your time. I hope you take everything you said into mind for our future. My classmates and I are counting on you all.
Thank you, Mr. Liddy. Also, a very nice job.
Jonathan Ort, I signed in. As another student advocate, I would also like to advocate for the approval of the new AP textbooks. They are very important for our continued learning of AP history and are very important just in the curriculum in general, especially what we need to have for the tests. From my experience, this class has taught me, in fact, instead of being biased towards one thing or another, to not be biased and to read what any book says by looking at what surrounds it and what may be changing its view, like who the author is and what they were believing in and why they were saying what they were saying. This has given me a broader view of history, meaning that even if, as you claim, the textbook would be biased, it would not affect anyone as we are taught to not take biases. The book itself has honestly probably been quite important in our education, and I feel that our education has made us all more American by understanding our background, our history, and our victories that made the country what it is today. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ort, just real quick, I just wanted to ask you a question. You routinely watch the school board meetings?
No, I do not.
How did you find out about our comments on the?
Okay. I have researched specifically this topic. I do not regularly listen to board meetings, though. I have looked into specifically this instance, this board meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Nice presentation also.
Yeah,
You did
very,
use your
very
notes.
well. I agree.
Chris Rotolo, I signed in. I do have two topics to talk about tonight. Before anything else with the AP World History, I'd like to talk about Huddle, as it came up again last week. I was a little bit confused on why it was back up for discussion. I believe it was 2 years ago, as we were looking at budget decisions, the same board decided Huddle was worth keeping for our current students, for college recruiting, for everyone to watch at home. For all the same reasons you outlined in your planning meeting, that decision was right then 2 years ago, and it's still right now. What I strongly disagree with is charging the viewers. These viewers are grandparents, family members, out-of-town relatives who want to support our students that have played sports here. Putting a price tag on school pride and family connection is wrong. The only thing I could suggest is looking at how the activity fee is used and perhaps a modest increase so that those using it would be the one paying to help offset some of the cost. For AP History, you had mentioned last week that America is the envy of the world, and that is one thing we definitely agree on. One of the biggest reasons is that we educate all of our children. We teach them to think, to question, and to understand multiple viewpoints. You spoke about Dover having standout students and graduates. Those same students took these AP classes, often from the same teachers through the same College Board curriculum that you're now criticizing. You can't celebrate the success of our AP students on one hand and claim that the College Board is pushing an agenda on the other. Pulling a single line from a history textbook to create outrage isn't responsible leadership. No AP teacher is going to assign students to read the one sentence from page 436 Director King didn't like. They're teaching context, debate, and perspective, exactly what higher level learning is meant to do. As Charles Dickens wrote, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. History is about complexity. It's about understanding how different perspectives shape understanding. That's what prepares our students to think critically, and it's what keeps Dover producing the standouts we're so proud of. The last point I just wanted to make is that I was personally offended by the suggestion that students who go to college come out anti-American. It's not only false, it's divisive. To hear that said by an elected official, someone who should model integrity, was disappointing. Labeling candidates as communist and spreading misinformation isn't leadership, it's fear-mongering. Just before you made these comments last week, my public comment was in regards to misinformation. So if you truly ran for the board because you felt unheard as a community member, then listen now. Stop weaponizing education for politics. Start standing up for the students and teachers who make this district strong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Maria Wartz, I signed in. I watched the board meeting after I left last week. And I sent a little thing to my son, who is in Missouri. My son is a retired combat sergeant major in the United States Army. His daughter is taking AP Social Studies this year, just like my grandson here in Dover is. They are both looking forward to possibly taking the honors class if they get the grades, which I'm hoping they both will. The book that you guys are so against and believe is biased has already been purchased for the school that my granddaughter is going to be going to. My son had the opportunity to be on the parent voting committee for textbooks. They had an opportunity to look at the book. Each member of that group had a week with the book, not just looking at the chapter titles, not just reading certain lines that upset them. Together, they agreed it was a proper book for an AP class, especially knowing the teachers that teach AP don't just read a sentence, but discuss exactly what's going on. My son was one of the first that jumped in Afghanistan. He is appalled that anyone in a school board would call anybody a communist. And he absolutely cannot believe that anyone on a school board would say that our children are anti-American. He doesn't know why you are still on the school board after the comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wirtz. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, public comment period is closed. All right, announcement of executive sessions. I think one of these will be a repeat. On October 7th, we had an executive session for security and training. October 14th, executive session for personnel and legal. And tonight, October 21st, had an executive session where we discussed legal matters and the labor issue. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any members would like to pull out? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Director Ambick moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director McKinney seconds the motion. Any discussion? Note that this includes the minutes of our past meetings. All right, hearing none, Mrs. Alm, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Next is the consent agenda for human resources. Any items that any director would like to have pulled out? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda for human resources?
So moved.
Director Ambick moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Hogan seconds the motion. Any discussion?
Just thank you, Mr. Whitcomb, for your 16 years of service on your retirement.
Very good. Any other comments? All right, Mrs. Ullman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Section 7, action. On this particular section, I would request that the board allow us to vote on item number 16 and item number 17 as our first two action items based on council. Is there any objection to doing that?
No
All right.
objection.
So we'll take up the first item will be agenda item 7.16. Give Mrs. Ullman just an opportunity here. These are dealing with some legal matters. Is there a motion to approve agenda item 7.16?
I'll make a motion to approve 7.16.
Dr. McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Dr. Hogan seconds the motion. Is there, well, I'm sorry, I started to ask for a discussion. There's no discussion on this item. Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Next item is agenda item 7.17, the engagement letter with Whistler Pearlstein, LLP for special legal counsel. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve 7.17.
Dr. McKinney moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Miller seconds the motion. Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Eight yes, one no.
Motion carries. All right, let's go back to the beginning of that section. Agenda item 7.01, textbook request for a high school AP US history course. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Meese seconds the motion. Is there any discussion?
I've listened to the comments tonight. I understand some of the concerns from the public on what we discussed last week as a board. Some of us did. The book itself, I understand we need a book to do AP American history. I understand that. The book, in my opinion, is biased. I gave a list of some of the issues I have with the book to the administration. I'm asking basically what some of you have stated you're asking for. There's two sides to every issue. And I just want to make sure that our students are getting those two sides and they have an opportunity to discuss. I'm not sure, I can't speak for the other director that spoke about the book. I know many of you are interpreting that we are saying, well, the Dover students don't have American pride. I don't think that was ever stated.
Please, let's maintain decorum.
For sure, our country's in trouble. Cities are being burnt down. And some of my frustration and some of what I saw within this textbook that concerned me is our cities are being burnt down and there are people saying these are peaceful demonstrations. I pointed out in the textbook, it talks about there were more immigrants came to America in 2021 than we've seen since 2001. For me, I question, okay, that's a fair statement, but why wouldn't the textbook tell us how many immigrants came in 2021? Why wouldn't it tell the students that? To give them an overall fair picture of history. I'm older than probably anyone in here. I remember the race riots of 1968. I remember the tanks driving down the streets of the city of York. I'm not saying we should hide that. I'm not saying we should disagree or whatever, but I'm just concerned because in recent history, I hear that there are some who say whites are supreme and African Americans, they're disadvantaged or whatever. And yet I look at history, I look at the Ben Carson, I look at Clarence Thomas, I look at Martin Luther King, I look at a multitude of African Americans who succeeded in America, and I just want to make sure when we're teaching these courses, and part of the issue is we sit on this board and we're trying to lead at 30,000 feet. We're not in the classrooms. So we don't have the privilege of knowing what is being taught. We're given a textbook, we look through the textbook. We can disagree, but in my opinion, that textbook is very biased. It's one-sided in many issues, and I want to make sure that students in Dover are getting a quality education and they're hearing all sides of issues. And then they can determine for themselves what's right or what's wrong. I never once said we shouldn't buy the textbook. I don't know what the answer is. I'd like for the administration to look at other textbooks and see if there's anything better out there. I don't know. And if there's not, then this is a textbook we go with, but let's make sure that the administration and the teachers are presenting a fair, balanced part of what explanation of what American history is. So that's all I'm asking for.
We have looked at other books. This is the one that the Social Studies Department has chosen because they believe it is the most appropriate book for the AP course. I did invite the department chair here today to speak to the board to answer any questions, but before I invite him up, I do want the board, give the board an opportunity to express any other questions or concerns before we invite him to the podium.
Okay, that's fair. No, the only thing that I've heard is this, the idea, any book can be biased. It depends how you take it. As far as not stating an exact number for the idea of the number of illegal immigrants, depends what source you use, you're going to get a different number. I can understand that not being put into a book, absolutely. As far as what I've heard from former students, they've been given the chance for critical thinking in these classes, because I went out and asked a couple of them. And the bottom line is they've been given the chance to look at things, express their viewpoints, and question those books. I like to think that the teachers here in Dover are giving the students the ample opportunity to question a book or whatever is going on. And I entrust them to do that. That's how I feel about this. You know, just to shotgun a book for a few phrases, I kind of understood where you guys were coming from, but at the same time, I kind of felt like some of the people who are making comments. You know, it's easy just to pick on a bias from one or two statements in the book, and I'll leave it at that.
I'm going to make a comment. I think our teachers are doing an excellent job with these students, or we wouldn't have the amazing graduates that we have. So I think what they're doing is excellent. I respect the teachers we have. They're doing a fabulous job.
Yeah, I think that we're in a tough position because the teachers are put in a position they have to teach to the test. They have to get the students to pass the AP test. So that content, that required content, we have to find a textbook that provides that and matches it just for the student success. It's debatable whether teaching to a test is the right approach in education or not, but that's what we're doing in this case. So we just have to entrust the teachers that are providing the education that they will guide their students the right way, and then they will teach unbiased. I know the government teacher was Mrs. Miller. She was very unbiased. She taught both sides. She was my son's favorite teacher. I would trust her with any textbook in her hands, that she would provide the students with the proper education and mindset and critical thinking. So I see some things in the textbook that I don't agree with too, that I also think is biased, but in order for our students to succeed, we're going to need to provide them with a tool that prepares them for this AP test. And this is the book that was chosen. It hopefully is the least biased one out there, because I don't think we're going to find an unbiased textbook, but we just need to entrust the teachers that they will not insert politics, or that they will teach both sides. And I think that's where we have to go from, just trusting the teachers to do the right thing.
Very well. Any other comments?
I am the one who has expressed that I'm concerned about patriotism. Yes, in our Educational Excellence Committee, I have expressed that, and I still am concerned, and I think that I see it from my own children, and that's why I say it. I'm hoping Dover is not creating students that are not patriotic. I don't think they are. I want us to be proud of America and wear that red, white, and blue. And I apologize that I may have offended anyone. That was definitely not my intent. My intent is, going forward, we show the world that we are proud of our United States of America. That is my only intent.
Anyone else?
This might help, because I do have a question, but if the department chair is coming up. If, just a question, because it's probably not going to happen, but I just want to ask the question, so don't get an uproar. If the book is denied, is there still going to be an AP class?
The AP class is currently running, and unfortunately, Mr. Poorman has been teaching it with an incredibly outdated textbook.
Okay. So it's still have a class?
Yes.
Okay.
However, that would require us to go all the way back to the drawing board, look at another text, and I don't have any confidence that we're going to find a text that you're not going to find sentences you don't like.
Okay. And secondly, the issues that Director Kindig brought up to the admin, did you address those individually and make sure they're not extremely to the point that they're
I think
biased?
Mr. Poorman is prepared to talk to you about how he will be using that textbook and the types of conversations that occur in his class that I think will be helpful to the board when you're ready.
Should I ask him if he's addressed those? I'll just ask him that. So the way I look at it is, I trust the teachers too, but it's not my role to really maybe judge teachers or whatever. My role is to make sure the superintendent is doing her job, because if something were to happen and it were to be brought to our attention, then that's on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
I forwarded all of your concerns to him.
Oh, I didn't have any.
No, I meant the board's.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
I forwarded all of the board's concerns to him. He is well aware of all of the sentences and parts of the book that you object to.
Any other discussion?
I'd just like to comment that I think it's fitting that we have these discussions as a board. We're approving a textbook. We want our future kids to see clearly about their country. We are Americans. We love our country. We've all had, different generations we've grown up in and have seen and experienced different things. And so I guess we all kind of have that bias, but it's an appropriate conversation, one that we should not have backlash about in regards to questioning something in a text. And I just want to put that out there. Like, this is why we have a board, to have these discussions. And years ago, people didn't even show up to boards. So I just want to say, like, if you're taking offense to conversation, then I just want you to know that these conversations are going to be had continually. So be prepared to, I guess, be upset or whatever, because this is our job. This is why we're here. This is why the community elected us, to sit here and look at things and discuss them and have conversations and hear from teachers on our concerns and then make a decision.
Any other comments?
I just want to comment, this is my 5th year here, and I have had no objections from any parents for anything that's been taught in the classrooms. And I do my share of walkthroughs throughout the classrooms. I have every confidence that my teachers are very well aware of topics that families have differences of opinion. And I think they do an amazing job of navigating those conversations with kids and sometimes avoiding them depending upon the age of the child, right? When the younger they are, the more we're going to avoid those conversations and tell them to talk to their mommies and daddies. When they get into high school, then that's a more nuanced kind of a conversation that you have to have. So I have all the confidence in the world in my social studies department. I think they will make the best of any book that you put in front of them. And again, I don't believe you're going to find a book that you're not going to be able to find sentences, because all of us have a bias. And we're not reading books without our own bias. We're applying that to when we read the book. So if there aren't any other questions, I do want to ask Mr. Poorman to come up unless there are other questions or comments.
I just want to follow on. If there would have been concern to me in the community, you'd have heard about it, knowing the number of parents and family members that I know in this community. And as far as the idea of the patriotism, that ASVAB test with 60 students taking it, as one young man presented, that's a high percentage of individuals in many of these schools. And that's the Armed Forces Aptitude Test. And as somebody who is retired from the military, it's good to see that number of young people taking that, as far as I'm concerned. And I applaud each and every one of them.
So I don't necessarily agree with that, because I have 7 kids gone through the school system. I don't think I've ever picked up one of their books and looked at it and said, wow, this content isn't appropriate or is appropriate. So I don't think if there's something necessarily being taught, I would even know about it, because my kids aren't going to know the difference all the time. I have heard some things that have been said and taught that are strongly disagreed. I could have brought them to the admin, but I don't do that. We just talk to our kids and say, hey, listen, this is the way this is, and this is the way that is. So, and they roll with it. So just because the superintendent isn't being informed of things doesn't mean that they're not happening. And I'm not saying things.
I certainly can't fix it if it's not brought to my attention.
Right. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that things aren't happening. And I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying, like you said, we all have different opinions. And this particular teacher is no longer with us, and there's a reason, But yeah, so just let that be. But I appreciate what you said as well.
Whatever communication you had with your kids is one thing. I guarantee you, my sons came home and made it very clear when things were said in class that they didn't like.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Did you pick up a history book and flip through it and make sure the content was appropriate?
I actually did.
Okay.
Because there was one thing that I was looking for in those history books. Yeah.
Did you find it?
But no, I did not. And I was taught just that. I was looking for something to see if the books had changed as compared to what I had as compared to what my sons had, and they did not have it in those books.
Before we bring up the gentleman, I just want to ask the board, how many of you actually reviewed this textbook? I reviewed it. So we had 3 members review it. I reviewed it for maybe 2 days. How long did you review it?
I spent the better part of 2 days going through it from cover to cover. To Dr. Houck's credit, I looked at other textbooks, other subjects previously, and she generally would go through and put in the papers to mark a section and say, this one might be a little bit that you might have a concern about. And I appreciate that. But I felt it necessary with this book. I wanted to go cover to cover. So I really did not pay a lot of attention to what she had marked. I went cover to cover looking through it. My goal was not to point out that it's a terrible book or whatever. I was just trying to find out, what are we teaching when it comes to American history? And there were things that I read that really, really bothered me, because it's very, very one-sided. And again, as has been said, the big thing is the teachers can make a big difference. And I agree with the director that said it's good we have this conversation. I think these are the conversations we ought to have. Some of the public may not like it. Some of the public may be upset with me or other directors. For me, these are the conversations we ought to have. Somebody from the public last week, near the end of the meeting, made the comment that it really comes down to the parents. The parents should be talking to their children about what they're learning in school. And I agree with that. That's some of our problem. Parents aren't as involved as they should be in some cases.
Director Miller, I think you were the only other one that raised their hand that you had reviewed it.
Yeah, so how long did I look at it? I'd say a day and a half, and I did go through every part of it.
Right.
Not just those specific ones that were marked, which was nice. Again, that was nice.
Well, I just want to clarify, I didn't mark it, because I want to give credit where credit is due. The Social Studies Department, I think probably Mr. Poorman may have marked it. I did not. So just wanted to give him credit.
Thank you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my point is, it's policy 108 that requires the administration to vet their school books or their textbooks that they propose, which requires the superintendent to be the advocate for that book. Otherwise, she's not going to bring it forward, obviously. But the board is granted the responsibility to approve that textbook. I can tell you, for my own purposes, it's a 1,000-page book plus. It's well over 1,000 pages, and those of you who have seen the book, very, very dense material. I made a comment last week. It's overwhelmingly positive. As I pointed out, the negatives that I saw, or I shouldn't say negatives, but my concerns, I put that in the context that I felt like it was overwhelmingly positive because it's a scholarly production, and this is the 16th edition by this same author. So it has been evolving over time as events occur, and that's the purpose for this edition, is catching up for the last 20 years that was not in the previous version. I think the previous version only took them through 2007, I believe. Now, the process of a board reviewing the textbook, I just exposed to you very, very limited time. There's no way any of us are going to read that whole book. I mean, unless you're just a Mensa and be able to absorb it. I mean, I'd say the director to my right here is probably the best speed reader on the board. He's very good at reading things, but I'm not as quick a reader as that. So I'm just going to tell you, I had to go through the book bit by bit and see what stood out to me. I looked at all the tabs that were noted, and I appreciate someone taking the time to do that. That's very helpful. Very, very helpful. And they, picked things that they knew there might be some sensitivities around. And so I appreciate that. That's knowing the board and knowing what may be a concern to the community. But I don't want the public to jump to the conclusion of terms like censorship, that we're trying to censor the book. This is just an approval process. And if we're just going to silently say, whatever you say, we're just going to check the box, there's no real purpose for the board even having that responsibility. Admittedly, most of us, except for two on the board, are not educators. And there is a level of expertise that the people in the administration have that's far and above what we have as board members. We come from the community. But we still have a responsibility. So when we get the material, we try to look at it, and the allegation of biases and that type of thing from us, or the allegation of applying religion, I didn't see anything in any of the comments that anybody made that were religious in nature or had any religious basis in. Comments that I provided were based on a historical perspective. When I saw in chapter 16, in the first few sentences, it mentions right off the bat racism and white supremacy as being the central interpretive lens for the westward conquest. It wasn't a conquest. I mean, let me tell you, I know the U.S. cavalry was out there. I know they were doing some pretty bad things. I think that's obvious to most people who have any awareness of our nation's founding. It's been imperfect the entire time, from the American Revolution to this current day. This is an imperfect union. But pointing out these things is not censorship. And there may be no better book. I made that comment last week. This is probably the best you can find. But there is a systemic build-in to the leverage of needing this textbook, because that test is basically structured around this. So to give our children the best opportunity to succeed, this is probably the wisest thing to do, is to approve the textbook. I never had any inclination in my review of it not to approve the textbook, but I still wanted to point out the concerns that I had with it, because how it's taught makes all the difference in the world. The context in that teacher in that classroom. And if a teacher, for example, has if you want to say bias, if they have a bias to push a leftist narrative, then they certainly have the opportunity. If they have the mindset that they want to keep things central and unbiased, they have that opportunity to do that. If they want to push a far-right agenda, they have an opportunity to do that, because there's lecture opportunity. And I know this because I have experienced these types of things from teachers and instructors. But the real thing that we're doing here is we're giving our best effort to comment on what we read. And so that's what we did. And I know that alarms some people, and I know that nobody's trying to be mean people towards the board members. But it could be taken that way, because it seems like personal attacks. We choose to just lay that aside and still try to do our job. As of right now, there's no final decision made on this. I don't know how the vote will go, but the part about our children not having patriotism, I made the comment that I did say Dover children not patriotic. There are, and you see this on television, if you watch any of the news, and I don't care what news channels you use, there was a reference to Fox News, but you can watch any channel you want to. There's demonstrations and protests and all kinds of nasty things that have gone on for the last 5 years. And there are segments of our population in colleges that are anti-American in their expressions. They make no bones about it. I just don't want the Dover school system, as our community schools, to feed into that and steer folks into that, to where they take whatever the foundation that we provide them and let radical professors at the next level push them into a certain direction, or student groups. I don't know how this manages to happen, but you see it. I don't have to cite news reports because you all see it. The bottom line is I think our community values need to be one of the mitigating factors in how we teach something that's in a textbook. That's my only purposes in bringing this up. I'm not trying to harpoon the effort to approve this particular textbook because I think it's pretty much pervasive. You're going to see this kind of material in most of the textbooks. All right, you want to bring the...
Yeah, I
subject
did ask
matter
him
expert
to, share with you kind of how he uses the textbook. I want to clarify that the textbook is not the curriculum. The textbook is a resource. So let's make sure that we're all clear about that you're not approving the curriculum, you're just approving one of many resources. I think he'll explain that. And then selfishly, I also asked him to share with you some plans that they might have for the 250th the birthday, right, of our
That
country.
makes me very happy.
I knew you would, so I thought while he's up there, I might as well have him share with you what they're planning on doing there. So Mr. Curtis Poorman is the chair of the Social Studies Department at the high school, and he has volunteered to give his time to come here.
Thank you. If the board would indulge me, I usually like to speak extemporaneously, but I prepared a presentation that our department has had a hand in, so I'm just going to read our presentation here. Good evening. For those of you who have not met me, I'm Curtis Poorman, the Social Studies Department head at the high school. First off, I'd like to thank the board for affording me this opportunity to speak here tonight. I'd like to also thank the board for their diligence in reviewing curriculum materials. I want to come here tonight to accomplish two goals. First, I would like to speak about the upcoming 250th anniversary of our country and the plans the Social Studies Department has for bringing the celebration into our high school. Secondly, I would like to address the concerns raised by the board regarding the recent requests of curriculum materials relating to AP US History. Concerning the upcoming 250th anniversary of our country, I believe the anniversary provides a unique opportunity for our school to observe the occasion. Since the actual date will be celebrated in the summer outside of our school year, I believe that the department we're able to hold activities for the students in the months leading up to the anniversary, but also in the beginning of the school year the following year. Some of the activities we've planned or are in the process of planning include the following. We've invited Vietnam veterans from the York County Vietnam Veterans Association to hold a forum with our history students on the week of Veterans Day. The veterans also plan to return in the spring to speak to our history students after the semester turnover. We are looking at partnering with the Carlisle War College to have speakers come in and give a 250th anniversary presentation to our students. We've previously partnered with the Carlisle War College before and found that the students actually enjoyed the presenters quite a bit. We also will be reaching out to the York County Historical Society to partner with them to create an exhibit for students to see how York County played an important role in the founding of our country. We want to showcase local history, a topic that sadly does not get covered as in-depth as other areas of history. Our hope is that by partnering with the Historical Society, we can develop an exhibit of artifacts to represent how York County, including our always fun fact that York County played a part as one of the nation's capital for a little bit. During the American Revolution, we want the students to see the history is more of a localized view so they can appreciate the important national history all around them, and they'd be proud of the role that our local community has played in that as well. Next, I would like to address some of the board's concerns regarding the recent curriculum resource requests of the AP US History textbook, American History, Connecting with the Past, 16th edition. I want to take the opportunity to walk through some of the features of the book, concerns with the materials, and the methodology in which the book will be used in the classroom. First, I would like to address why this particular book was chosen. American History, Connecting with the Past, is the updated edition of the current textbook being used in the AP US History class. The current text being used is the 12th edition and was published in 2007. In the time since the text was first used in the high school, the AP exam has been updated. The newest edition of the text represents an updated organization of course content, includes updated test preparation material, and updates materials that students will be expected to know for the College Board exam. Directly quoting from the book on page 19, the updated 16th edition of American History structures this important content, foundational to the understanding of U.S. history, into 9 units to align with the Advanced Placement U.S. History Curriculum framework. 9 new unit introductions contain the content and timeline to contextualize the periods for students. Each chapter includes updated connecting concepts, connection themes, sections to incorporate restructured content to align with the Advanced Placement U.S. History Curriculum framework. key terms and concepts integral to student success of the AP exam and incorporated throughout the book. AP exam practice plans and at the end of each chapter and unit highlight the important content and is structured to mirror the print AP US History exam. The addition of 2 chapters for full alignment for AP framework and updated content is also part of the 16th edition, end quote. As a department, we want to provide our students with the resource that provides the best support for taking the rigorous AP exam. The Connecting with the Past text is a widely used and vigorously supported text nationwide. This text is also a book that the department is already familiar with and has developed lessons and activities that utilize this particular textbook. We want to keep a text product that we are familiar with, and as a department, we can leverage that familiarity and expertise with the book into more effective lesson delivery. This textbook also meets outlined requirements posed by the College Board that each student has access to a college-level text published within the last 10 years. College Board provides a list of textbooks that meet those requirements, and the Connecting with the Past book is recommended as one of those such texts. Other textbooks, including the American Pageant and AMSCO texts, were also reviewed, but there is no differentiating features, language, or presentation of material that led us to believe that they'd be any more effective in meeting student needs, preparing them for the College Board exam. Specific content concerns. Next, I would like to address some of the content concerns raised by the board. Thank you for the members of the board who took the time to compile the specific questions. Out of respect for the time of the board and everyone else here tonight, I'll only be addressing 3 of those concerns, but in doing so, I hope to provide a more broad answer that helps address other content concerns. Concern number 1, the handling with manifest destiny. In addressing this concern, I would like the board to note that the book serves as one source out of many that is used in a classroom. A variety of sources are presented to students to create a more in-depth historical narrative. The text also covers similar topics in different sections depending on the thematic grouping of the text. This book raises concerns, this board raised concerns over the lack of narrative variety concerning manifest destiny, being portrayed as a militaristic light. The board raised concerns that the text was, and I'm going to quote directly from the question sent to me, is leaving out their desires for freedom, independence, a new life, a tangible stake in country, and in some case, mere fortune, overlooking the courage, bravery, and sense of adventure necessary in the Western settlers, distorts the greatness of our people's migration, end quote. On page 363 of the book we're presenting here, in the chapter sectioned Westward Migration, the text lists various groups of Americans who are seeking a new life in the West, including religious settlers, prospectors, farmers, and merchants. The text describes them, and I'm going to quote the text by saying, they formed a vanguard for the expanding capitalist economy of the United States, end quote. I think it's fair to be concerned over how narratives are presented in a textbook. The lack of competing narratives could also provide a confusing context for students. This particular text does a good job of providing various narrative viewpoints and gives the readers opportunities to explore various motives for American choices. The narrative variety becomes more apparent when the book is taken as a whole. Some narratives are not fully developed until future chapters or when addressed in conjunction with other narrative theme. I think it's also important to know that this text does not represent the only source of information presented in a class. Every lesson provides an opportunity to bring varied viewpoints. The Westward Expansion unit in particular is a good example. For this unit, I have students role-play historical characters to showcase the various motives for westward expansion. Students will role-play characters like Narcissa Whitman, Brigham Young, Olive Oatman to represent religious motives, Jim Bridger, Levi Strauss, John Jacob Astor to represent economic motives, Zebulon Pike, Meriwether Lewis, Kit Carson to represent exploration, Tamsin Donner, Amelia Stewart Knight to represent moving west for settlement, and finally, President Polk, Horace Greeley, and John O'Sullivan to represent political and media motives for moving west. No text can reliably provide depth of information, so as educators, we use the text as a base and we build off of that base by providing more opportunities to build the historical narrative. Concern number 2, the lack of warnings over collectivism. In addressing this concern, I would like the board to note that not all historical narratives appear in this text or are developed in text fully because of the focus of this American history narrative. Important topics are addressed as Americans experience them. Again, the book serves as one source for instruction, and a variety of sources are presented to fully develop the historical narrative and provide needed context to analyze said historical narrative. The board raised concerns over the omission of narratives that warned over the dangers of collectivism. how the book treats communism and the USSR as mainly a geopolitical rival and backdrop to US policies and containment. The primary objective of this book is to deliver an American historical narrative, and many of the most poignant cautionary tales about collectivism happen outside the American narrative. The predominant American narrative about communism is the geopolitical structure of democracy versus communism. As an example to prove how little this book actually does address what would otherwise be critical historical stories that happen outside the United States, the book only addresses the Holocaust on page 740 in a section titled America and the Holocaust. The book does not dive deep into Germany's descent into anti-Semitism, the Nazi policies that led to the Holocaust, but I don't think any reasoned scholar would suggest that their omission is a tacit approval of the Holocaust by this book. There are many narratives that do not appear in this textbook. Some topics are better represented by other textbooks that match the narrative scope of that particular course. For example, AP Comparative Government or AP World History. The American historical narrative is vast and at over 1,000 pages. This book strives to cram as many stories, facts, figures, charts, and statistics as it can. As teachers, we will always augment the text by including narratives that the text may not fully develop or we feel may be missing. For example, in U.S. history, the way we introduce communism is to use different sources to tell the stories of the Bolshevik Revolution, the murder of the Romanov family, Stalin's Great Purge, the starvation of Ukraine for their reluctance to collectivize their land to the Soviets, and the Cultural Revolution. As professionals, we recognize the shortcomings of a textbook as a survey document. We need to add depth on top of the survey document. Concern number 3, the inclusion of race as a thematic element. In addressing this concern, I would like the board to note that students are expected to learn historical thinking skills of thematic approach and contextualization. The textbook leans on the thematic elements because the College Board requires students to develop this historical thinking skill of identifying themes in history. College Board requires students to identify and be familiar with 8 separate historical themes. The final content concern I will address is the board's concern of the amount of racially driven narratives in the text and the language used to present those narratives. The book's thematic focus on race in the U.S. is one of many thematic focuses. AP U.S. History is designed to allow students to identify repeated narrative themes throughout the U.S. historical narrative. Some of these themes that the book relies on include economic growth, the debate of federalism versus anti-federalism, the expansion of rights and opportunities for different classes of Americans, rural versus urban, women's rights, and the expansion of infrastructure. These thematic elements allow students to tie the entire historical narrative together by recognizing how Americans are affected by similar narratives throughout the historical timeline. To succeed on the College Board exam, students are expected to recognize these thematic elements and explain how they continually manifest themselves in U.S. history. Additionally, every AP student is expected to learn the skill of contextualization. The idea of being able to place every historical element into its proper place and time. Students must recognize how different time periods yield different cultural, social, economic, and political norms. Some of the board's concerns centered around language found in Chapter 15, titled Reconstruction and the New South, specifically in a subsection titled The Legacies of Reconstruction. Language in the text reflects the historical narratives of that time period. The passage we're describing the sensibilities of Americans from the 1870s, a vastly different time from the period right now. As students learn about each time period, they develop the skills to properly place the language and thoughts of a particular time period. Contextualization is perhaps the most important of all the thinking skills because it allows historians to look at history dispassionately and not analyze the past with the sensibilities of the present. Next, I'd like to address some of the methodology on how this text is going to be used in the history classroom. Mr. Connolly, as you stated in the last board meeting, it really doesn't matter as much as what's written in the book as how it's taught, and I could not agree more. No history course is taught in the high school utilizing only the textbook. The Connecting the Past textbook by Alan Brinkley's primary use will be preparing students with the historical skills needed for the College Board exam. The text serves as a background resource that can be used for reviewing material, providing varied voice for narrative clarity, and as additional resources to add more historical context for analyzing the historical narrative. As one of the resources used in the classroom, the text also provides a variety of useful and important features that can be used to teach historical skills and provide review materials needed for the College Board exam. Methodology note number 1, the book provides resources to discuss bias in the historical narrative. This this text embraces the idea of the imperfect historical narrative and provides an opportunity to study how every historical narrative presents an element of bias. The book is, for lack of a better term, remarkably self-aware. There is no such thing as a perfectly unbiased textbook, and the book itself actually addresses this concern. This book does not just teach historical facts, but it can be used as a tool to teach historical skills. The book invites historical inquiry and analysis of varied viewpoints, providing sections called Debating the Past. In the very first Debating the Past section, it's titled, Why Do Historians Often Differ? In this section, the textbook describes the process of historiography and the study of how the historical narrative is actually crafted. The book wants students to be aware that all historical narratives are inherently flawed in their own way. And as a student of history, we need to be aware of how each narrative is actually crafted. This section is quoted as saying, and I quote, even when a set of facts is clear and straightforward, historians disagree, sometimes quite radically, over what those mean. Those disagreements can be a result of political, ideological disagreements, end quote. And is also quoted as saying, most of historical interpretations changes as a response to the time in which they are written. Historians may strive to be objective in their work, but no one can be entirely free of the assumptions and concerns of the present, end quote. Students cannot be sheltered from bias because an entire historical narrative is in fact biased by the virtue of what we all care about and are concerned about, different things. Instead, the book leans into the idea of wanting students to be reasoned and responsible consumers of information by identifying all varieties and factors that can lead to an unreliable historical reporting. The text goes on and features 15 other sections titled Debating the Past, in which the textbook provides various counter-narratives and viewpoints other than the more widely adopted narratives in an effort to show students how different historians have recorded history in different ways. The Debating the Past sections are spread throughout the book to provide students with the opportunity to have discussions about why the historical narrative could differ. Mr. Connolly, to quote your notes about the McCarthyism section of the book, you said, and I quote, the section provides an opportunity for productive class discussion. Methodology note number 2. The text is a background resource, not the only resource. The final piece of methodology I would like to touch on is how this text would fit into as a resource and what other resources and narratives will be supporting the text. As a professional educator and historians, we recognize the importance of providing authentic sources for students to read and analyze. The textbook is designed to be used in conjunction with other sources to increase students' overall background information about the historical narrative. Some of the other sources we use include online sources, databases, video libraries, news articles, and even old textbook articles themselves. The book will provide a common point of information, but will not be the only source of information. The most important of all the reading materials for any history class is the collection of primary documents we have access to. I brought with me today one of the resources I use in my history classroom. It's one of my favorite resources. It's a book I use actually in my very first lessons I teach of the year. It's a book called History in the Making by Kyle Ward. It's a series of collections of articles pulled from old textbooks. Each collection is organized by topic and chronologically. For example, one section about the Civil War features textbook excerpts dating back to 1851. As one can imagine, textbook articles about the Civil War would look vastly different from the ones published in 1995. The final excerpt in that particular section. The lesson I teach for this book is centered around 2 critical thinking skills. The first is historiography, or quite simply, the study of how history is recorded. And the second is sourcing. The understanding of every document, primary or secondary, is the product of an author who willingly or unwillingly is expressing their own bias. The lesson centers around the students using one of the key U.S. history skills we use for AP. Students must analyze the author's audience to understand who they are trying to communicate with. They analyze the author's purpose to understand what the author is trying to accomplish with the document. And finally, they analyze the historical context in which the document was written to understand how every author is always affected by the history that they live through. As I often say in my classroom, history doesn't just happen, it happens to people. At the conclusion of the lesson, we have a discussion about the various textbook articles and why they might say what they do. Students are always amazed that the textbook, widely considered as an infallible purveyor of historical information, can be so flawed. When looked at through that historical lens, the students learn the skill of sourcing. They begin to read differently, more critically, but they also become aware that every source is flawed, and it is incumbent on them to recognize those flaws. There is no such thing as an unbiased historical narrative. Every perceived bias by someone is the reality of somebody else. Historians have the impossible job of writing a narrative that satisfies every social, cultural, political, or economic sensibility. In the history department, we strive to make students better consumers of information. We want them to face the historical narrative head on and be able to recognize bias, think critically about why a text is presenting information the way it does, and to understand that every source is a product of the historical context in which it came from. Mr. Connolly, I'm going to borrow one more quote from you. Dr. Brinkley, he's a genius. I mean, the content that he has in here is overwhelmingly more good than bad. The history department would like this book to be approved so we can continue using it to teach valuable historical skills and as one of the resources needed to prepare students for the College Board exam. I would like to thank the board again for providing me this opportunity to speak tonight. Out of respect for the time, I would also ask that any questions be sent to Dr. Hauk, and the history department would be more than happy to answer them. Thank you again, and have a lovely night.
Okay, hold on just a moment. And by the way, excellent job. I appreciate how thorough you are in your presentation. Any questions?
I don't have a
for Mr.
question, I have a
Bowman?
comment.
Thank you.
Are you over the junior high history? Because my son loves his history class. He loves history and geography. That's all.
He's at the high school.
Just the positive. I didn't know if you were over the whole gamut. or
Oh,
not.
yeah,
just the high
kinda
school.
is. Yeah.
Any questions from Mr.
Yeah, just
Bowman?
one. The title again of that resource that you use with the articles.
History in the Making by Kyle Ward.
Thank you.
History in making.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman, for coming in. We appreciate that.
That's more history than I ever knew.
Well, one of the things that I take away is I wrote down, every source is flawed. So, and I don't take you as being critical and biased when you say that, or the author of the book. I think, weren't you quoting out of that book, Every Source is
I didn't
Flawed?
quote this particular book.
Okay. You were quoting somebody when you made that
The actual
statement.
text in
Yeah,
question.
the actual
Yeah.
text, the textbook that we'd like approved.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yes. All right.
I
Yes.
just want to say I've been in Mr. Portman's class a couple of times, and it's excellent. I really wish I could be there every day because it's just a great class. So thank you.
We appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so this takes us to, back to the agenda item. It has been moved and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? The only thing I will say, I never intended to not approve this. I just wanted to point out the things I saw, but in some reaction, I'm resisting the temptation to react by not approving it, because I don't think it has to get as nasty as it gets to have these kinds of healthy discussions. I think it's a very healthy discussion. We don't have to, do this on every book. Hopefully, there's no way you could do that on every book, but it's a healthy discussion to have. I think it's healthy for us. It's healthy for the administration as well, although many of them might say, why don't you just approve it and go on? We don't need all of this. But I think it's healthy for our community to hear us talk in a civil way about what we're approving here, rather than just rubber stamping. So, all right. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
The motion carries. Agenda item 7.02, textbook request for high school CTE sales and marketing program. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves. Is there a second? Now, wait a second here. This was changed since we, since I printed it. I printed it right before we came to. All right, so what was that on the old agenda here?
That was 7.04.
7.04, okay. All right, so Director Emig moves. Who was the second? Director Hogan seconds the motion, and is there any discussion? The only thing I will say is, due to the shortness of time, I had no opportunity to review any of this. So I'm going to be trusting those who did. So who had an opportunity to review this? Okay, what are your impressions?
I thought it was well done. It gave opportunity for the students to respond. Very current, lots of photographs, and I think it will help the the sales and marketing of looking people in the eye. I think we're missing that, not just Dover, but all across the United States. We don't look people in the eye, and I noticed that it pointed that out. So I thought it was well done.
Very good.
I was just surprised we're teaching students how to work in retail in the schools. That's basically what I got out of the textbooks, is teaching retail, how to work in retail, so.
Yes, CTE.
It's a CTE.
It's a CTE class.
Right.
Career.
I understand, but.
Director Kindig's all about reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Well, we have a CTE program. And I'm all about training kids to be in a trade, so.
It is for our sales and marketing program, and it does line up with the I guess it's a NOCTI exam that goes along with it.
Okay, any other comments from anyone? Anybody else get an opportunity to look at these texts? Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.03, field trip request, high school FFA agricultural cooperation, establishes Success ACES conference in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves. Is there a second?
Second.
I think Hogan got that one.
Second.
Director Hogan seconds the motion. Any discussion? All right, let's call the vote. Mrs. Almond, please.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.03, middle school 8th grade class trip to Washington, D.C. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves.
Second.
Director McKinney seconds the motion. Any discussion? Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. That'll be a great trip. Next is agenda item 7.05, the Huddle Renewal Agreement from October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2028. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Hogan moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director McKinney seconds the motion. Discussion.
There was a question raised in regards to subscription timeframe. Could we look at a shorter timeframe?
I imagine that we could. However, the 3-year agreement locks in the price. If you only do a 1-year agreement and then you choose to renew it the second year, I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get the same price. They could easily raise the price. But the other factor is that we are not locked into the 3 years. If due to budget constraints, we decide to eliminate Huddle for the following year, there's no harm in doing that. There's no we're not contractually bound to staying with them for the 3 years. So I think you're better off locking the price in for 3 years, and you can still make that decision year by year whether you want to keep it.
Anything else?
Was this in the budget?
For this year, yes.
Okay.
Wait, to clarify, the 3-year subscription cost was in this year's budget?
No,
Or
only only
year?
1 year, yes. So for the 25-26 school year, it's in the budget.
And it's paid annually, right?
It is paid annually.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. Any further discussion?
I'm in favor of having outside district residents pay for their viewing. I think that would help with offsetting the cost.
That's a good point to bring up. So let's discuss that for just a moment about charging to offset the cost. I noted that somebody said that it was wrong to do it, but we charge our community to go to a football game, for example. There's no charge for basketball games and most of the other sports, but we charge for the football game. So in that context, what are your thoughts on a small charge to offset the cost of this?
So I have an opinion on that. I'm not going to be here soon, so I won't be able to impact this at all. But my recommendation, again, I stand firm on planning. So I think, yes, we should charge for this, but not this budgeted year since it's in the budget. Next budgeted year, the board needs to have a conversation about that now so that next school year, then we can start charging for it. And Mrs. Weaver can include that in the budget. And then we don't slam our residents with it now. But I think it's fair to charge for it because we charge people to go to the events.
Other districts are charging too.
Yeah, I don't think it's, so people are staying home maybe and watching from the comfort of their home and maybe so they don't have to pay to actually go physically to the event. So I think it's fair to charge for the live streaming service, but I don't think it's fair to charge now. I think it's something we have to plan on and put in our budget as an income.
Yeah, I just say we table the discussion for future years at a future time in the planning of it.
You talking about on what we do for
2
next
years
year?
from now,
Okay.
or the next year and the year after.
But you say
Table the discussion for the idea, like you say.
Okay.
Well, you can talk about it during the budget
Right.
discussions.
Yeah.
So the next round of budget discussions, you can talk about that as an income,
The only thing I
as a
would
revenue producing.
point out is the term "in the budget" has context. So our budget
I understand.
was set up with
But
a
we
deficit.
approved the budget.
Right.
We did. We approved the budget. So, I mean, we have to honor that commitment to the administration and to our district to honor what we approved. So we already talked about some of these things. We already hashed out some of these things during the budget. So now it's just up for, approval just to kind of stamp it yes, but we already said yes.
Yeah, it's up for approval because the contract actually ran out. So if we
Right.
don't approve it, we won't have it for the remainder of this
But
year.
it was
Yeah.
included in the budget
Yes.
during the budget.
Yes.
So that's the thing, yeah, so now that's like, I just don't think it's right of us to go back on our commitment. We already talked about this. We already had it as an item to get rid of. Like, we already had that conversation. So next budget, we can talk about it again. We can talk about it as a revenue producing item. But I just think that we need to hold true to what the conversation we already had around it.
I just want to add real quick. I agree with, we vote, we don't charge this round. You can have a discussion next round. But I do have a different opinion on charging. I think our community's charged out the wazoo. I don't think charging is the right approach, and I think that it would limit the viewership, which then kind of defeats the purpose of having Huddle to begin with. I think 50% of the product is for viewing remotely, like for grandma and grandpa or something. There's a reason they're not attending the game typically. And then the other half of the reason is analytics, the value that it brings our sports teams and the other schools as this school is doing it, so we do it. So that's the other 50% in my opinion. But that discussion doesn't have to happen today. I was just throwing that out there for future. But I think we should just approve it and move on.
I think we might have asked this question. How many people view it remotely? The Huddle broadcast.
He had statistics last time that he was here.
Do you remember what they were? I don't.
The number goes up around football season. It's
down.
a significant number, but you know, I can't give you the totals. I mean, it's kind of moot at this point, I think.
Yeah, my impression, it's the analytics is the biggest benefit out of this. It does broadcast, and it broadcasts automatically because it's the computer's panning instead of someone up there with a camera trying to pan and keep up, which would be, I mean, unless someone is very good at that, that could be frustrating because sometimes you can pan behind the play type of thing. This keeps up with the play perfectly, and you don't have to employ either a student or someone else to do that. So it's good for that purpose. I was just curious about how many folks actually watch the broadcast.
I think it's over 1,000.
1,000 per game?
Per.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Director Kindig, your vote, please.
My vote is yes.
9 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.06, non-resident student application, request for waiver of tuition fees. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Director Emig moves, Director Hogan seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Excuse me, I apologize.
Trying to stay out of the weeds on this whole thing. I think it's important for the board to think about. We had the recent situation with the students who were moved to Northern because of the Washington Township discussion and legal fight. Several of those families came to the board over the last couple of years and asked that they be able to attend without paying tuition. And the board's decision was no. So I struggle with approving someone else, giving them a waiver of tuition.
I have to agree, but for the same reason and a different reason. We have policy. We have board policy that specifically outlines this case and gives the board direction on a decision. I mean, it's a pretty black and white policy. It's numbers-based policy. And I think the board should at all times try and abide by policy. If we don't agree with the policy, we need to change the policy. Now, in this particular situation, I know that's impossible because it takes a while to change a policy, which is a good thing. You have to have first reading and second reading. But if the board feels as though it's unfair, the time that's indicated in that policy, then that needs revisited. Again, it won't help this particular situation, but it's our policy. It's the policy of our district. And it stinks, but it's policy. So that's my opinion, my thoughts on it.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further discussion?
I'm going to bring this up again. We pay tuition for all of our students to go to York County School of Technology. We pay students to go to York Adams Academy. This is one student. I don't care what it, I'm in favor of requesting this student to have waiver free. It's only for 7 months. That's all it's for.
Could we not have the student just finish up this semester? Like we, and then.
Well, the marking period is ending. Yeah. I think the longer we put it off, the more challenging it will be.
Any further discussion?
My only comment is I haven't really made my decision. I advocated strongly for an out of resident, I think it was the northern issue for senior, and it didn't pass by the board. So I'm struggling to either stick by our policy and I kind of, like if I voted for this and I don't know. That's all. This is a hard one.
I'm struggling as well. There's some circumstances with this particular case that leads me in one direction, and that is to grant the waiver.
I'm with you. It's, in the executive content, we can't discuss publicly. There are special circumstances here. It's more than just preferences on where to go. I think it's more of an educational necessity, what it looks like.
I do agree we need to look at policy, though. Yes.
I mean, our board policy should include those special circumstances so that it gives us more guidance as a board and solidifies that culture that we want to have in our district. Like, I get it, but we need to memorialize that through policy.
This would be a big exception to accommodate, I would think.
And I agree with you, the idea, we need to follow our policies. However, this could have substantial issue with that individual, and we were all brought on with that. And we're here to educate students and to ensure that they are successful in life, and I believe that that's what this would lead to.
I appreciate those comments because I must have missed that executive session or meeting.
You did.
So
No,
I appreciate.
Executive session. It's in the executive content.
That right here that's talking about those needs.
Yeah, that's not public because it's confidential student information.
Okay,
But
so that helps. That helps a lot.
That's actually what.
So it's a different
Help me make a
situation.
decision.
All right, I appreciate that.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
5 yes, 4 no.
Motion carries. Next item is agenda item 7.07, request for tax forgiveness. This also has information and executive content that we are not at liberty to discuss publicly. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve 7.07.
Director McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Whitmer, was that you?
That was me.
Okay. Director Whitmer seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? I will say that this person, according to the state requirements, qualifies for this exemption. However, it was granted after the beginning of the fiscal year, and the exemption is there for, it starts next year for them, and I think that is according to the state requirements. All of that's been met. So I am not in favor of granting another tax exemption or tax forgiveness as we have in the past. We've been pretty liberal in some of those cases. Any further discussion? Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Five yes, 4 no.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.08, turf track and court athletic facility consultants quote. This is not for the replacement of the turf. This is for the consultant that will assist us in working with the company that will do the turf installment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Hogan moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Meese seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.09, New Holland Ford proposal for maintenance vehicle.
This is for the truck.
This is for the truck, right. There were 3 quotes. They are attached. The administration is picking the lowest price quote for a, that includes an aluminum bed on it, which will be installed. Total expenditure of this is $67,736 for a Ford F-350.
Do we have any estimate on what it would take to have it pass inspection? I assume it did not. And this is the vehicle that Mr. Fluke said the brakes locked up 8 times, correct?
Do we need a motion?
During the committee?
Well, we can discuss
Just now.
before.
Yeah, I did send the board this information. In order for it to pass inspection, it needs 2 license plate lamp assemblies. It needs rear lamp assembly. It needs high mount brake lamp assembly. And it needs to replace the rear stud and nut. And then along with the diagnostics that are required to conduct the inspection, it's a total of $1,182.90 to keep it on the road. There were, however, additional items that needed to be repaired that don't preclude it from passing inspection but still need to be repaired. We have the steering wheel needs to be repaired at $575. The, R&R transmission cooler lines. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just reading it.
You said it right.
Oh, thank you. For $575. Replace the oil cooler lines for $450. Replace the rubber radiator plug and purge the air from the coolant for $210. Diagnostics and replace the AC compressor and 2 leaking AC lines and evacuate and recharge the AC system for $1,720. The gear shifter needs to be replaced, but that is obsolete. And the driver's side door panel assembly and handle is also obsolete. And so the total of the repairs that are recommended is $3,530. So to do all of the repairs that were recommended by the shop, it would be $4,712.90. There are other items that need replacement that this shop would not be able to do, and we would have to go elsewhere to get it done, is a leaking roof, possible entry through the 3rd brake light, but not certain, should have a water test performed by an outside vendor, interior headliner replacement by an outside vendor or an upholstery shop, and the interior sun visors and rear lift gate is not functional. And those would all, if we do those, would all have to be done by an outside repair or testing facility.
Well, for $4,000 or $5,000, you can keep this truck on the road for another 18 months. And the idea of an 8-year rolling plan, financial plan for this district that we talked about numerous times, if you give me 18 to 24 months on this truck, I'll buy a new truck type thing. That's how I feel about the boat. But to buy 3 trucks in 2 years, no, you're not getting my boat. Not over $4,000 worth of repairs, and one of those repairs happens to be the idea of redoing the air conditioning system, to regenerate it. So I just offer that to you. You can keep this truck on the road for another 18 months for $4,000 or $5,000.
I don't know that we will keep it on the road. I'm not sure that it is safe to keep on the road. Or it will be used very, very.
Inspection, I would think that it can be kept on the road.
I think that we have a higher level of liability than you would as a private citizen. When you're a private citizen, you're only responsible for yourself and the people that you choose to put in that vehicle. We are responsible for an entire maintenance crew that we're putting into that vehicle. And I have concerns about putting one of our workers in a vehicle that's requiring all of this to even make it roadworthy. This is a board decision, but I would be remiss in not expressing that I have concerns about putting some of my maintenance workers in this truck.
We passed a budget. Part of passing a budget is getting budgets from each department. This truck was included in that department's budget. We passed the budget. Now we're just approving their choice of that item that we've already approved. So we have guidelines here. We have the road to travel down, we already set that precedent. So just revisiting and relitigating it again, I don't think is appropriate or fair to that department.
Well, when we passed the budget, I don't remember going over the details to this truck, to be quite honest with you.
Well, we don't go over the details.
Hang on, let me speak. It's the idea that when we get through and we get to the details is what I'm concerned about. When we start talking about the idea of, everybody here said they were conservative. We bought 3 trucks, or 2 trucks already, and if you buy another one next year or the year after, that's fine. And then you keep laying them out 2 years. But if you're going to purchase 3 trucks in 2 years, or 4 trucks in 3 years, or 5 trucks in 4 years, whatever it is that what's suggested, I just think you're shooting yourself in the foot in the long run going down the road.
Well, we need to keep in mind, though, that the reason that we're in this position is because the district didn't buy a truck for a very, very long time. When you put off the purchase of something, and you put it off and you put it off, the day of reckoning comes. And I think that's what happened. And so now we have these trucks that are in terrible terrible shape, and the truck is outside. You know, a number of you did choose to go look at it. I will be honest, I would not put my son or daughter in that car.
Well, after it's the maintenance is done on it and inspected and passes inspection, I probably would.
And then you're putting $4,000 into a car that's only worth $1,200?
To get in inspected, it was only like 1,100.
Yeah.
Well, right, but that's only the repairs that were needed to be able to put it on the road. Then you have all of those other repairs that factor into the safety of the vehicle. And again, you're not just putting yourself in it, you're putting an entire maintenance crew in this vehicle. If something goes wrong, my concern is if something goes wrong and we knew that this vehicle was in need of repair and we chose not to do it, does that put the district in jeopardy?
State requirements are, as you say, basically $1,100 to $1,200. The niceties add up to the $4,000. That's what I'm looking at, and that's why I say the idea.
I'm not sure I would call those
$1,100,
niceties.
then turn around, $1,100 to $1,200, because you just got done telling me that's what is required to pass state inspection. If that's what's required, we spend the $1,200, we keep it on the road for another 12 to 18 months, and then we get rid of it.
So the bed of the truck is rusting. I believe the person who repaired it said that they would be concerned about having somebody even standing on it, especially with heavy equipment. It's not a safe truck. I'll be perfectly honest with all of you. I don't think that Mr. Fluke or I are going to feel comfortable putting our men in this truck on a regular basis, and we're probably going to very much limit its use altogether. It's not safe.
So with that being said, Dr. Houck, if we don't have this truck in our fleet, how will that impact that department? Like, will it make a significant impact in the department?
I can't answer that. He's the only one who can answer that.
And since you're coming up, Mr. Fluke, is it true this will be the third vehicle in 2 years?
No, that's
I
incorrect.
didn't think so, because I've been on the board.
Three and three.
I've been on the board for 4 years, and I thought it was just one a year.
It is
so-
1 a year, yep.
Okay,
We've never
thought.
ordered more than one a year.
So one-
That is correct. Yep, you're correct. Yep. So what we would do is we'd have to pair up maintenance gentlemen, put them in the same truck, and then we would cut their productivity in half because we would have 2 people in one truck and we could not send them in different directions as we do now. So if something was happening at one school, we would have to leave either one behind, or the person that was working on something at a school would have to be left there and just sitting around not being productive. That's what would happen.
So the number of trucks that we have in our fleet equal the number of staff we have?
Yes, you're correct.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Who did the inspection on this?
Thornton Chevrolet did.
Okay. Did they do the last inspection on this?
The last inspection was probably done at either Bayshore or at Troops. Okay. We use multiple ones just in case they get backed up, and also so we have different options to take them around.
You said it wasn't scheduled. You were getting it done within a week. That's why I asked.
That's what. Yep. And we took it to where we could get it in to get it done before the board meeting because I knew that was important to have here. So I actually went to multiple shops, and the first one that could put me in, that's the one I booked it at.
I spoke to Dr. Houck this evening. I went out to look at the truck, and she mentioned about the door handle on the driver's side not functioning, or?
It is cracked. It's trying to pull out of the door. I didn't realize that when it went up for the inspection, and when they looked at it, I didn't realize until I brought it back here and made sure the door was locked. Yeah, it actually starts to pull out of the door itself. It's the passenger side from the outside, yes.
And then the driver's side as well.
The interior panel on the driver's side door, it tries to pull off when you close the door. So when you go to close the door, it kind of pulls more than it should. It pulls away from the metal part of the door, and there's only, I think, a bolt or two that are actually holding that whole door panel into the door. So when you go to pull it where you're supposed to pull it closed, it pretty much wants to come off with, like, separate from the metal part of the door.
Do you plan on purchasing a vehicle next year as well? So if we do this one, it'll be 3 and 3 years. And then are you taking a year off, so to speak?
We can. We're still going to be behind, like Dr. Houck said.
I forget. I know you said you'd like to do one, but I can't remember.
Right. It would be nice. We are lots of years behind. I think we figured out we were 13 years behind in buying vehicles. So we are way behind
But
when it
didn't
comes
you,
to that.
okay, so yeah, that's reminding me. So didn't you say if we do five vehicles in 5 years?
Dr. Kindig is in the chair.
We'll be caught up?
I just got to step out.
Oh, okay. Did you say that if we do 5?
Yeah, if we do 2 more, we will
Do
be
2 more.
We will be caught up.
Okay,
The
so
next
that's
one,
where I got the 5.
Yep, that's where you got the 5. So the next one that would be following the replacement will be another 1999.
Okay.
It's in slightly better shape than this one, but not a lot. And then the following year would be a dump truck. We would need a dump truck after that. After that, then the oldest vehicle that would be in the fleet would be a 2010.
Okay.
So theoretically, we would be in a lot better shape than we are now, but we're still, all of those years that vehicles weren't purchased before I got here, put us way behind.
So best case scenario would be 5 vehicles in 5 years. This is
Yes.
year 3.
This is year
That
3.
would be the best case. Okay.
That would be best case scenario.
So if we skip this year, then we'd have to go 6 years, like 3
Yep.
years or 2 and then skip.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And how long do you like to keep a truck?
We'd like to keep it as long as we can, and so it's safe. I'm hoping, right, the goal would be as long as we can. So the reason we built this one the way it is, so trucks now are actually made out of aluminum. They're not made of steel. So the cab of the Super Duties are aluminum, so they should last longer. That's why we put an aluminum body with this one. So hopefully we're going to get a lot more longevity out of this one than what the average is on them. We will run them until they get to the point where they cost more to fix than they're worth. That's the ultimate thing. You don't ever want to put more funding into a truck that's not worth it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just not fiscally responsible.
I didn't know if you had a certain miles or a certain number of years or what's your standard?
We'll try to get as much as we can, for sure.
I know there's a lot of panel rust and bed rust. How's the frame?
The frame, there's some surface rust on it. It's not horrible. I think the main concern when we had the shop was the utility body. That utility body that's on that one is steel.
Yeah.
If you look in all the bottom of the compartments, like if you open the doors, the driver's side, I think it's all 3 of them are pretty much almost rusted through. And on the passenger side, the very front one and the very back one are almost rusted through. It's just, it's inherent to steel. I mean, it rusts. We're in the Northeast. It happens. And I think that, putting an aluminum body on that, you'll get a lot more longevity out of it with corrosion. Because even, like I said, even Ford now, all the bodies on the Super Duties, the F-150, 250, they're all aluminum. So that helps with that longevity too.
I do recall you also saying that you haven't been using it much because you don't want to.
Right.
If this wasn't passed for tonight, would you be able to make do for another year if you got those $1,000?
We would be putting 2 people in a truck, like I said,
Okay.
and we cut productivity of 2 folks down
You
to
would
half.
just take it out of commission and
Yep.
wait it out? Or-
I don't want to, I think it opens us up to huge liability,
Yeah.
especially when something needs repaired, and something happens, the district is going to be liable for it. And then it doesn't sit easy. It doesn't sit well with me. It's my job to make sure that all the folks who work in my department are taken care of and all the correct safety measures are taken. Yep.
We appreciate everything you do to try and save the district money. I mean, we
Thank you.
recognize that. I've been on the fence on this thing. That's why I asked the question, can we do a metal bed rather than an aluminum bed? I really thought the difference in price would be a lot more than what it was.
Yep. I'll be honest, I did too. When I got the quote back, I was like, well, for that amount of money, it makes more sense, because if we could get, years, another decade out of it, or 5 more years, whatever we get, that cost, if you break that down over the years, I think it was like, if you go to 15 years, like $100 and some a year extra is what that is. And I think that's well worth getting the longevity out of that and being able to use it longer down the road. But yeah, I agree exactly with you. When I saw the difference, I was like, can that be right? Because usually aluminum is more, but I feel like now the price of aluminum is less when it comes to automobile manufacturing, because so many people are using it now.
Well, I also thought they specially treat the steel to try and make it last longer. That probably is expensive to do that.
Probably.
That probably closes the gap.
It probably does, yeah, because you have the extra process in that, yep.
I do appreciate last week I asked you, if we approve this truck, are you going to be back here next year asking for another truck? And you were honest with us and said, probably it will.
Yeah, I try to be honest in everything I do. I don't want to surprise anybody, because I don't like surprises either, and I don't think it'd be fair to you all if I tried to surprise you, because I don't like surprises either. So, yeah.
But as a board, it puts us, it's not an easy decision.
I understand that.
I mean, I've walked in your shoes in private industry. I know what a facility manager goes through.
Yep.
So I appreciate what you do, but we're the ones that have to answer to the taxpayers and try and hit this happy medium somehow, so.
Yeah, I'm ready. All you got to do is say Director Conley's in the chair.
Director Conley is now back in the chair.
Thank you. I
And-
apologize for.
No worries.
Get that tickle in there, you can't get rid of it.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
No worries. Any other questions for me?
Let me think real quick. I know you discussed some.
You're
things.
just looking for the idea, like being able to rotate the trucks out though every 2 to 3 years.
Ab-
And I understand exactly where you're going with this. My issue comes with the idea of some of the financial settlements that we have pending and stuff with this school district. We need to get those settled and resolved, and then give him what he wants in regards to trucks next year and then 2 years and every 2 years, and just let him get his new equipment. It's not a matter of just saying no. It's just a matter of this year saying no. For me, that's how I feel about it.
So I just want to make sure that we're fully informed of what it would mean for you. I mean, what exactly is it going to mean?
it
And
would-
what kinds of things won't get done or will?
It's a good question. Our response times will be cut down because we basically will have 2 people that are running at half capacity. So those 2 people that are riding in the same vehicle, if they're at different buildings, one might be left behind, one might go to work on something else. That one person might be needed someone else. We're going to take someone else to go pick them up, take them to another building. It basically takes their productivity of each of those 2 people and cuts it in half. So it's basically taking a whole person away by not having them being available to get around to where they need to go. It's a big deal because we don't have a huge crew. Our crew is awesome, and they go above and beyond every day, and they amaze me. Every week they amaze me in what they get accomplished for the crew we have here. They're fabulous. I always want to make sure that they're safe, and I give them all the tools they need to continue to be awesome because they are an awesome crew. They really are.
And I just want to be clear that, this isn't the district, our truck is old and yucky and we just want a new one. Like, this truck is in really bad shape. And again, it's a concern for the safety. And all of us are acutely aware of our deficit, acutely aware of how we need to save money everywhere we can. But there are things that we just need. And when we need it, we need it.
I apologize for being gone just for a minute, but I don't know what I missed. Did you discuss the condition of the vehicle out there?
We did, yes. We did touch on it.
While I
We
was
did.
out?
Yep.
Okay. Because I looked at it pretty closely. Now, I didn't have the keys to start it up, but that engine is a highly, highly reliable engine. Those things will run for 300,000 or 400,000 miles, properly maintained. The truck looks good to me. I mean, I see the rust between that top cabinet and the rest of the utility body. That should have been sealed around there. It wasn't sealed, and so it probably started rusting the very first year and has been rusting for, 26 years. It looks it. That Tommy lift that's on there, that's an expensive item.
Yeah, and expensive to fix. Absolutely.
And you have not asked for a Tommy lift on the new truck, have you?
No, we currently have 2. One is on the box truck that we bought 2 years ago, and we have one on one of our other trucks. We do not need one. We have plenty right now. We have one on the box truck, which they use that every day, and we use it about every day on the other utility body we have. So we don't need that on this, and we already have it.
That tailgate is rusty, no doubt about it, but it looks like it's a standard Reading part. You could just get another tailgate put on it, or
Well, it's the hydraulics that's the issue. So the
hydraulic,
hydraulics
okay.
don't work. So it does lay down, but it will not go to the ground. So that's where the cost would come in. You'd have to take that commercial upfitter and have them work on it and fix it. If it's the hydraulic pump, you're going to be talking some money, and not what it's worth. The garage did note the cross members on the bed that they were worried that somebody, that if they were standing in it with weight, may have an issue because the rust underneath where the cross members go across, there was some big issues with rust under it.
Okay. That's the part you can't see unless you get underneath the truck.
Absolutely. And there were pictures from the shop. I know somebody requested pictures from the garage, and they did send some of that, and they noted that as a concern.
They're not attached here, I don't think, right?
Why don't
Did you
we
look at
take-
the cross members?
No, I didn't, but they're not all that expensive. They're some of the local body shops. I'm gonna caution you, go out Davidsburg Road, Elmer's Garage, they do diesel engines, diesel trucks. Take a truck like this out there, it'd be a minor issue for them to repair it and get it back with the machine.
Yeah, I've been out to Elmer's. They're quite competent. I mean, if it were my truck, I'd be glad to have it. I know that sounds contrary to what the administration is saying. The only concern really I have about this is really you. I don't want to send you the wrong message if we delay this. My observation, you've saved the district a lot of money by the things that you do that most other maintenance teams don't do. Your predecessors, going back quite some time, did maintain some of the AC units. You went in, took them all apart, saved the district a lot of money doing that. You could have just said, hey, they need replaced. And that would have been on us to do it. A lot of the other routine maintenance you do by keeping the filters all changed on all of those big units and small units for the individual classrooms. We have to note what you do for the district every day with your team. We had a major boiler pipe that needed re-sweated, and that's a 12-inch pipe. How big is that boiler pipe that's in the high school?
That is about 8-inch.
It's 8-inch?
Yep.
But it's not easy to sweat copper pipes of that size.
And they don't make probe presses that big, so you have to do it the old-fashioned way.
I'd like to see the person hold up the Milwaukee crimp press just to make that happen.
You would probably need 2 of them just to hold it, yes.
But you did that, saved us a lot of money. These are the type of things that you've done repeatedly for us that we haven't seen any predecessors do. I wouldn't want you to be discouraged if we delayed this. But I know that when we approved the budget, we approved it with a known deficit. And we're still trying to get our arms around that. How do we get ourselves out of deficit spending? I mean, if I were your direct boss, I'm not even pretending to be. If I were your direct boss, I'd say, hey, if you could squeeze through one more year with that truck, we'll get you a truck next year. That's what I would say, because the truck, the body, I took pictures even under the fender wells. There's no rust under the fender wells or anything like that, which is highly unusual for a truck that's been used in harsh, conditions, salty roads, etc. I didn't see the transmission lines and that type of thing, but I have owned a lot of those Chevy trucks. They almost all, you have to replace your brake lines and transmission lines because they rust out.
Yep.
If they haven't been done, it's a dangerous vehicle.
Yep. Those have not on that one.
Because those brakes, and I know this because I had it happen, it looked good, it wasn't good, lost brakes riding down the road. So I would say just a matter of routine maintenance on any Chevy truck, not to derogate Chevy, but any Chevy truck, replace those lines after about 10 years, whether you think they need it or not. So I look as that is probably deferred maintenance. The reason you have a $4,000 bill is your predecessor didn't take care of that truck like it should have been taken care of. But we're going to be spending about $6,000 a year, I think, based on the proposed rotation cycle. We're going to be paying that much on this new truck, plus whatever the maintenance is going to be on that vehicle. So we're not going to get out of that truck, free either, maintenance-wise. You will have warranty that you're not going to have on this truck. But from my standpoint, I think I can make that truck work for 5 more years. But if you've got those cross members that need to be fixed, you would have to have somebody weld those in there. There's no doubt about it.
And then you might have missed, I mentioned the boxes on it. The 2, I think it's 2 on the right, on the driver's side, 2 of them are rusted out in the bottom. So the one up towards the front and the one in the back, and then the same on the passenger side. They're almost completely rusted through. So if you open the doors and you look down on the bottom, they're just about through too. So you'd have extensive rust work on that.
Sheet metal work.
Yeah. I just want, and I'm on the fence with this thing because I want to give you a new truck, but at the same time, I know that a new truck is only new the day you get it. It's a used truck from there on. I wouldn't want you to be discouraged if we didn't approve it this year.
I think it's going to hamper me, and it's going to put my team at a disadvantage. If I have to put 2 people in a truck, you just cut you cut 2 people at 50% for me. So that stuff that we are doing to save money, you just took it away. That's what's going to happen. I mean, I can't have 2 people. Somebody's going to get left behind, or somebody's going to have to ride somewhere they don't need to go. We're very efficient in what we do. We get a call. If it's an emergency, we take care of it immediately, but we try to prioritize things and take care of them what way we can. You're going to take 50% productivity away from 2 people by having them ride in one truck. We don't do that now. I don't know of any district that does that for that simple reason. So we're paying them to be productive 100% of the time, and you're going to cut 2 people in half if we don't have that. Because I don't feel comfortable putting somebody in a vehicle that I've driven, and it's a wild ride.
That truck is?
Yeah. If anybody wants to drive it, the keys are upstairs. I'll grab them. It is make sure your seatbelt's buckled.
Is the
That's
steering loose?
the one that you said put you into the.
Oh, it'll put you towards the windshield.
drive it.
You go right ahead. Buckle your seatbelt.
It's because the brakes.
The brakes lock up on it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's not. You can be as gentle as you want with them, and they grab and everybody now is used to anti-lock brakes. There's no anti-lock brake on that. Like it is, you're sliding across the asphalt. It's a wild ride.
We just had a brilliant idea. Both directors can bid on it.
Bidding war.
Just please buckle your seatbelt if you drive it. I would recommend that.
So I would like to make a comment. I haven't had a chance to speak yet. So I wrote down 4 words: trust, safety, productivity, and budget. So first of all, trust is where I feel I trust the expert. He saved us tons of money in the past. He's looking to still save us money, even though we're spending money. Secondly is safety. I was thinking about that tailgate coming down. That's not probably a part of the inspection. It can probably pass inspection with that. So if something did happen where the guy stands on it and there's a safety issue. So productivity is the big one. You can't reduce. We are an $80 million school district. We need our workers out there doing their job. And if you cut down that productivity to try to save, that's not good. And then we did approve it in the budget. It's been budgeted, so I think it's fair to give them the truck.
All right, any further discussion?
I just have a real world comparison. I have 7 job managers. They each run about 15 jobs, and they each have a truck. If I were to put 2 job managers in one truck, and then they'd have to run 30 jobs out of one truck, that would be a nightmare. And we have to think in terms of our staff. That's your customer, really. Your students and your staff are your customer. So customer service is going to be impacted, not to mention just the buildings in general. So if we can't service our customers, so to speak.
I preach customer service.
Who are our students in a timely manner, because we have 2 guys that need to share a truck. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being 7 job managers and only 6 vehicles. It would be extremely unproductive. So.
You all ready for the question? All right, Mrs. Allman, please call the vote. Thank you, Mr. Foote.
Thank you.
We need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right. Director Hogan.
7.9.
I'm sorry, Director McKinney moves. Let me find it on here. Director McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Meese seconds the motion. All right, please call the vote. And thank you for the point well taken, Mrs. Allman.
Six yes, 3 no.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.10. These next 3 motions are all legal motions. Motion to rescind the August 12, 2025 approval of Penn Waste as provider of the waste removal services for the Dover Area District. Is there a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Director Kindig moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Director Miller seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.11, rejection of all waste removal bids provided to the district pursuant to the provisions of the RFP. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Whitmer seconds the motion. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.12, administration to draft new RFP for waste removal and advertise it as required. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emig moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Meese seconds the motion. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.13, motion to have administration draft, motion to approve establishment of junior high track program.
You're asking for motion?
Is there a motion to approve?
Yes, motion to approve item 7.13.
Director McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Hogan seconds the motion. Any discussion?
So on the proposed budget, we had both 4 and 3 coaches. Are we deciding that before approval?
I think if appropriate, then we should, yes.
Okay. I would recommend that we pass with 3 coaches to start.
So you're moving to amend the motion? You can.
The motion doesn't include the number of coaches.
You could.
I was asking if we need to decide that tonight.
You could amend the motion to approve the establishment of a junior high track program with the 3-coach option.
I have a question related to that topic. Do we have a recommendation from the athletic department to have at least 3 head coaches?
I think you'll need 3. He's not here, is he? I think whether we need 4 or not, I think some of that will depend on the number of students that we have participating, or do you have other information, Mrs. Weaver?
I have other information. The MOU
Oh,
says
good.
3. The MOU that's being approved is 3, not 4.
Okay.
Okay.
That settles my question.
And it's what specific MOU is that?
It's an executive content. It's the MOU
Okay,
that
let me look
goes along with the union drafts for this additional stipend.
I'd only looked at the budget document.
So this item, if they approve this item, they are approving it for 3?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So then an amendment's not,
No.
it's not needed.
My original motion stands.
Well, it says at least 3.
So are we not able to modify how many coaches we need? Once it's approved, we have to have the 3?
I think what we would have to do is you would approve the 3, and then we would have to come to you to approve a 4th if we needed it.
It'd have to be a separate request.
Well, I'm actually asking if there could be less head coaches as as per public comment, where we could have more volunteers, like 2 head coaches, more volunteers. That would be less cost to the
We
district.
could budget for 3 and try to
Save. So
have
just go with the
volunteers.
3 and start there.
3 would be a max.
So we can modify. That's all my question.
Yeah, and we would always do that. You know, we're
Yeah.
always trying to save money. So if the board approves 3, that allows us to hire 3, that doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily hire 3. We'll hire only as many as we need.
For clarification on the MOU, this is just a blank MOU. I mean, it's got all the language there, but there's no signatures or effective date. Is this a new MOU that the union has proposed, or is this an existing MOU?
This is a new MOU, so for every additional coaching or activities position you put into the contract, you do an MOU, and then it rolls into the new contract next time the contract's negotiated.
Is anyone on the board involved in the negotiating of that MOU? Anybody involved in it?
The board doesn't negotiate the MOU. They draft the MOU and they work with PSA, and then they provide it to the district. It's just standard procedure.
There's really nothing to negotiate because it's applying everything that's in the CBA to create a new position. If I'm correct, like we can't negotiate the salary.
Correct.
Because it's already, the methodology that we use to determine salaries is already written into the CBA.
That is correct.
But you're negotiating numbers.
What
right?
numbers?
You said this MOU agrees to 3. I'm looking for that language in there.
If you look, you'll see now there are 4, and you'll see it's labeled there 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
It says a head coach shall be added, a junior high assistant shall be added, another junior high assistant shall be added for the boy. One's for the boys, one's for the girls. So that's management negotiating the numbers. The grades were already pre-established, but we're negotiating the numbers of employees.
Yes, it was based on Dr. Weisling, what his recommendation was. Mhm.
Isn't that a prohibited practice? Director Wolverton, do you know? Is that a prohibited practice to negotiate the numbers of employees? I thought that was in the government. I'm not sure either.
On a contract, you mean for?
Well, so the union is dictating how many positions management has to hire.
Yeah.
They have to hire at least 3. Typically, the union doesn't have authority to tell management they have
No,
to hire
I
that
believe
many.
we told them.
Yes, that is correct.
We told them
Yes, that
3
was Dr.
to add
Weisling.
3 into the MOU.
It was Dr. Weisling's recommendation. Yes,
Okay, so Dr. Weisling
Yes.
negotiated it?
yes, that was his recommendation.
Go with 2 and add, and leaving it open to add 1. Or table it and send it back.
That raises, of course, we don't have counsel here to consult right now, but that just doesn't sit well with me. You have a lot of LR experience. Dr. Kendig, what are your thoughts?
You're in the education environment.
It's different?
It seems to be.
I think the point is you got to have the coaching staff to handle the number of kids coming out. So if the athletic department estimates how many kids there's going to be and how many events that require the expertise, and based on our high school coaching staff, this is a lot less. So that's probably what happened. And plus you have some sports, it's like, boys soccer, that's a sport in itself, and girls soccer is a sport in itself. But the track and field, they're together. So the boys and girls, you need to coach separate. So I imagine that's what there's 3. Now, you can have some volunteers to do some of maybe the shot put or whatever, however they look at it, but that's the recommendation. And I think based on what we've talked about, it's up to 3. You need 1. And then if the other 2 are additional requirements, then they also.
Well, that's not the way I read it. It says that now therefore intended to be legally bound hereby, the parties agree as follows: as a new head coach, a new boys assistant, and a new girls assistant. I'm not arguing the fact that you need a girls and a boys coach. You know, you got to have somebody going in the locker rooms. You don't want the head coach, male head coach, going in the girls' locker rooms, or vice versa. So I'm not saying that they don't have merit. I'm just questioning the need to have an MOU to do that, because I think you would do that anyway.
I think the question is, does that obligate us to hire 3? Is that what you're asking?
It looks like it does. If you have 1 female sports athlete, which we know we will, and we know we're going to have boys, you're going to have to hire 2 assistant coaches and put them under 1 head coach. So you're going to have to hire 3 coaches based on this MOU, as I read it. And like I said, I'm not arguing the logic that union's using here. It's just, why would we allow ourselves to be bound to this? We're already bound to, if we hire them, we pay them. But I don't understand why we would be bound by an MOU.
And unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so for me, I think we need to get that answer. All right, so we'll have to have an IOU on the answer to that question. Now, the question goes back to the main motion to approve establishment of a junior high track program. Director McKinney has expressed some desire to modify that to the 3-coach option.
That's no longer necessary since we have the MOU stating 3.
Okay. All right. So the motion is as written here. Is there any further discussion on this?
I had stated previously, previous board meetings, I support the thought of junior high track. I understand, personally, I understand the importance of running. I did not run in high school. I decided to start running when I was 30, ran for 35 years. So I understand the physical, mental, all that benefit. My struggle is, as we talked earlier tonight, well, this is budgeted. Well, this is budgeted. This is budgeted. This isn't budgeted. Where are we getting the money from? I will gladly take a look at this next year when we talk about next year's budget, whether we might want to start a program and put it in the budget. But I'm having a real struggle with why I would approve this now when it's not in the budget. This board made a decision several months ago to not put on the ballot in 2 weeks that the public could vote on whether they wanted to increase the earned income tax. Out of those commission numbers, this district would have taken in $1 million based on today's figures of additional revenue. The board just said, nope, we're not going to put it out there. I'm okay with that. But now I'm asking, okay, we don't want $1 million in additional revenue. Where are we getting the money for this junior high track program? I really feel like the MOU is putting the cart before the horse. I really think the board should have discussed the junior high track program, made a decision on that. If the majority of the board says, yes, we're moving forward, then we sit down with the union, and then we have a discussion on the MOU. But I'm one vote. But I can tell you, I'm going to have a hard time voting yes on something that's not in the budget, and we've got a $2.5 million deficit, and we haven't even started to look at next year's budget.
We don't even have a state budget for this year,
Right.
so we don't even know how much we're getting.
I understand that. The state is the state, but we still have an obligation. For me, we have an obligation as a district to start working on the budget, and let's figure out where we are as best we can tell. And I know there's a lot of unknowns, because until the state approves theirs, we don't know how much we're going to get, whatever. Mr. Pratt has said that right now it looks like the northern lawsuit is going to go our way, and there may be some money coming in, but we don't know if that's going to happen. I get all that, but I'm a little frustrated.
Dr. Houck, did we have this come up with wrestling?
Pardon?
Wrestling? The MOU?
Well, no, because we didn't create a position for wrestling. The only thing the board did was approve the establishment of the program. We did not hire anyone for that position. We didn't create a position. The current wrestling coach is serving as the girls' coach as well. So we didn't create a new position. This is creating a new position.
So the way I look at it is, we're here to improve kids' lives, and we push off a lot, in my opinion, for the sake of a little bit. Now, if this was a lot of money, like a $50,000 endeavor, $20,000 endeavor, $15,000 endeavor, which it's not, it's less than maybe 10. We're gonna be able to give our kids the better, like I said last week, the reasons you go into having a track team with their mental, their academics, get them off their phones. It's open to kids who typically aren't, don't necessarily have to have a specific talent they can run. It helps a lot of kids. That's why I'm looking for it. One of 2 school districts that don't have a junior high track team. It's going to help our high school team. The communities come out and support it. I think that let their voice speak, and the majority of this board speak, and see where it goes. But I definitely see the benefit outweighs the cost.
Don't the teams, when they do their fundraiser, reap the financial rewards themselves? How does that work? When they do the fundraiser, does it offset the costs of, sorry?
As far as I know, that's for the athletic boosters.
So when they do a fundraiser, all the money for that fundraiser goes straight to the booster club?
I believe that's the case, but I would have to ask your doctor recently, but I believe that is the case. I could be incorrect, though.
This is why I wish I could make it to the meetings. But, so I'm just thinking about how many kids come out for high school track, which is 4 grades. We have 2 grades probably coming out, for junior
You
high.
want to know how many come out?
I'm just thinking ahead if we would be able to offset costs with, fundraisers and just getting the booster club to show us what that would look like to help offset costs. Something, just a little bit input on that.
So
I'm sure it could help.
Does this MOU require us to hire all 3 positions immediately?
Well, we have a lot of positions that that aren't filled. So right. So I don't think that, I think it sets up for 3. But I do not believe that it requires us. I'm looking at Mr. Mitchell because he has some experience, as well as I do, and he may know something I don't. But I don't believe that it requires us to fill them.
It allows for 3, but it doesn't require 3.
Right.
So year 1, we could even start out with just 1 head coach, volunteers, that we could put that in the budget for year 2. Everything Director Hogan said about the benefits, psychologically, academically, health-wise, they're all there. The benefits do outweigh the cost, the minimal cost of $6,000 per year. I think we've talked a lot about wanting to improve the high school athletic quality, the feeder programs, this is our chance to do it. We talk a lot about mental health. This is our chance to improve it. Grades, this will keep the kids engaged in class. This will help their grades. And I've seen firsthand how track and field and running helps kids that, you know, aren't excelling at other sports or don't fit in other sports or just want to be in a sport. So I think the opportunity here to improve the lives, not just the academic life, but the overall lives of the students, it's a small cost. So I'm all for it. And then we can plan with the finances. We can start with hiring one coach, use volunteers. Next year we'll talk about the budget.
Well, now if you sign an MOU.
That was just my question, whether it required us to hire 3 now, which Dr. Mitchell seemed to imply it does not.
I have not seen the MOU, so I can't necessarily speak to that. I would say the structure that's being offered, 1 head, 2, 1 for boys, 1 for girls, is common practice. It's not uncommon among schools to be able to provide that for our students. And I would just say, as Director Hogan has shared earlier, a large amount, $10,000 is 0.07% of a $70 million budget. So it is a minimal amount when you're looking at everything. I understand it's not budgeted, but it is 0.07% of a $70 million school budget. And it's $10,000. So this is less than.
But one thing to keep in mind is, knowing our business office, every dollar is accounted for.
That's correct.
That is absolutely correct.
And so they know how much money they're going to have to buy a truck and those types of things. We don't have to worry about them defaulting on the bill because they know they get the money for it. We authorized them to use some of the fund balance to do what we budgeted for last year. If I am Dr. Houck and you tell me as a board that you're going to be budget hawks on almost everything, and then you're going to add something that's off budget, I think that's setting Dr. Houck and their team up for failure in their finances. They're going to have to cut something else to make this happen. I don't think there's any two ways about it. So if we're going to put this on them, which I'm not talking against the track team. I love the idea of the track team, and I think it will benefit the kids and the school. So it's not on the merits of the track team for me. It is the timing of this on an unbudgeted additional item here. I just don't think they're going to have to make a hard decision. What are we going to cut to pay for this? And I'm seeing her nod her head, so it makes sense to me. So what would we be willing for her to cut to approve this year?
That's another reason why I brought up the question about the fundraising. Because if fundraising does help offset the costs of an athletic program, that would help us determine what this looks like.
You can't budget on fundraising, though.
I understand,
Yeah.
and we don't even know how many kids are going to come out. I'm just asking, does some of that get made up for through fundraising? Because I don't know how those funds get used.
I've got in my inbox, I think right now, 3 or 4 different fundraisers that are going on right as we speak. Is there more than that?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There were several.
I know DECA does fundraising all year, I think, don't they, to do their big trip?
And I'm not sure how appropriate it is to fundraise to cover salaries. If fundraising is to buy new shirts, to get to go on a trip, to get a piece of equipment, but to fundraise to offset the coach's salary, that doesn't sit right with me.
Well, yeah, it's not a variable cost. Whereas like field trips are variable cost every year, but if you have a salary and an MOU in place, that's not a variable cost. That's why you can't use fundraising dollars for it.
Rob, where'd you get the $6,000? Was that,
That was with 3 coaches. That's where it starts out with.
think it's
3
10.
coaches' salary and benefits, and then an additional $800 in other startup fees like equipment and busing and lead fees.
I would just
Comment from the
I would just encourage the board to, again, try to stay within our, our guidelines that we've established for ourselves. We've established these guidelines previously, so we need to continue to be proactive and planners. And I was a track runner since 7th grade. I was a hurdler. I actually made districts. So I love track, but I think it needs to be budgeted. It needs to be an item that's included in the next budget conversation. So it sounds like Dr. Weisling has 2 things that he should put in his line item budget request for next budget. So I definitely think it's something we have to do, but we can't continue to make decisions. We can't be reactive. Somebody comes to the podium and has this great idea, and it's like, we talked earlier about biases, right? And how we don't want to teach our kids bias. So, this is a great opportunity to say, yes, I'm biased, I want a track team, but, we already set guidelines for ourselves, and we just need to be planners, and we need to be proactive and not reactive. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
Thank you. I have a question. So during our AP History item, we had a comment from a participant in that program. Could we receive a comment right now from a participant who would be a part of this program? I'm just asking the board to can we receive a comment?
Participant during the discussion?
Right now, during discussion, like we did during AP History textbook.
Oh, okay. So the participant we had in the other one was a member of the administration, right? Wasn't it?
Right,
The
this
teacher.
person would be a coach.
Yeah.
I'm just asking because there might be some information we're missing. That's all I'm asking.
So
If
you
we-
want enough, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I'd like
Do you
to
have a
call up
problem
Coach
with that?
Ryder as well.
She
I think
presented.
Does
the
anybody
more-
have any objection to?
More
let
information
Sheila
we can
do
get,
this?
the better.
Dave, she presented
Okay.
before.
All right. Who is it that would like to present?
Thank you, Carmen.
There you go. All right, very nice. Just state your name for the video.
Kelly Ryder.
Yeah.
I'm currently a volunteer coach through the district, and I work with the high school cross-country team right now, and the junior high from time to time as well. So the 6,000 was, I had presented about that last time. It was the equipment. It was 1 head coach, which can oversee both girls and boys, but it would be nice to have, obviously, a female and a male on the staff. We can put out to get volunteers, at least to get this program through to next year where we can put it in the budget and then, work on that. Obviously, that's not guaranteed. So if we can at least get 1 paid coach, try to get volunteers. I know you have the 3, but from what I'm understanding, what you're saying is like, we don't have to pay 3 coaches. If we can get some volunteers, that would be fantastic. But the reality is 3 is probably the minimum. You have throwers, so you have people out in that field that need to be with throwers. You have jumpers, so you have the high jumpers and the long jumpers, and you need to have a coach with them. And then you need to have a coach on the track. Ideally, it would be nice to have a sprints coach and a distance coach, but we can make do for a season. And from what I understand, this would just be an exhibition season, and then next year we would hopefully get into the schedule. But yeah, I understand the whole budget thing. I get it. I know, the position you guys are in, and I value your opinions. I love that you guys have the debate. I wish sometimes people would be a little more civil with you because I know you're in a difficult position with things. So I get that. But again, I kind of go back to the 0.07% for such a huge impact on these kids. Like, that's just what I come down to with it. And I get it. So any questions for me, I'm open to.
I have one.
Yeah.
We are in the process now of starting up an intramural 6th grade basketball.
Mhm.
Is that public information?
It's not.
It is now.
It's not confidential.
I didn't hear what you said.
I should have asked before. But it's being discussed.
It's not confidential, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Unplugged.
So we're doing that, and I The reason I found out about it is because somebody, I think from the public, brought it to our attention, right?
It's public.
Okay.
You're fine.
All right, so I'm good. I had, right in the middle of that statement, I had this
You're good.
nervous feeling that maybe I'm not supposed to say
We
this.
have kids signed up and everything, so
Okay,
you're good.
So we're in the process of doing that. It's a volunteer coach, I understand. Is that right? Is it a volunteer coach?
No, it is a paid coach. It's one that's been, we've had this position. We just haven't had anybody fill it in a while, and now we have somebody who's willing to fill it.
Okay. And they are going to compete or play in the auxiliary gym, right?
Right.
And, which I think you're familiar with that, auxiliary gym. It's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to do that to try to give them opportunities and to help the middle school junior varsity team, is that what it's called? Middle school junior varsity?
Junior high.
The junior high team, basketball team. There's going to be a lot of value, I think, in that. It allows those kids that don't fall under the PIAA envelope, 7th and 8th grade and above, they can start playing and practicing and getting experience, and it'll help the teams out over there and hopefully help our high school team down the road. What if we do something similar here is start something intramural where we're not incurring all the expenses of traveling and all these types of things during the course of the year. We go on the cheap the first year and just start building the skills with these students. And then when we have money that we can budget to start a program, we can start a program next year.
I guess my question would be, how is that, like, we still have to travel to be able to compete against some of these other teams at their home meets, so.
Well, if it's intramural, it'd be just inside our school. So they would be competing against each other.
I don't think there'd be much competition, though, if you split the team up into separate intramural teams.
I mean, the
I think there'd a
variable
lot of
would be
benefit
how many
at
kids
Buck.
even come out. So that's a variable out there that we don't know the answer to. If we don't have a whole lot of kids come out, then that's not going to be much of a competition.
Well, if you have a competition and there's only 5 runners, somebody's going to win. You know, that's a
Yeah.
big deal to win. If you're doing, you know, some of the skills, whoever throws the farthest or jumps the farthest or the highest or whatever, they win. There'd be some value but they're learning the skill.
I feel like that's what a physical education class is for as well, though. I mean, and that's what, I mean, I taught phys ed at Bermudian Springs for
Do they
almost 20
compete
years,
in
and
PE?
we used to, actually, at Bermudian Springs, they would have a track and field day, and they would do it, and it was the same concept as what you're talking about, and they had a great time with it, but that's what physical
It was mostly fun
education.
and games, though. There was no high pressure
Yeah.
or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, and you talk about the basketball intramural, building those skills. We have a great example right here. Mel, who qualified for states, she went to Dallastown when she was in middle school. So all those skills that she's attained to get to where she was last year, that started in 7th grade with her at Dallastown. So she was able to represent our school because of Dallastown's, program that they had. So if we could do the same thing, and throwing is a perfect example of a skill that really needs developed, and the sooner you can start that, the better. So yeah, that's just one of those.
We're really glad you're at Dover.
We are.
Wouldn't it be better, though, to budget this for next school year, and then in the summer, we can interview, we can hire, we can get the word out, we can build up the program and do it the right way, instead of like just trying to figure out how to do it on the cheap or just get it going. Like, I know that there's, like, you have to make a decision in life sometimes to just do it. Just do it, make it work. Or, hey, let's take a step back and let's plan. So that's this situation, and that's a difficult decision. Do we just make it happen and let's just go for it? Or do we put it in the budget, hire somebody? You know what I mean? That's the tough part about it. Like, and do it maybe, I hate to say the right way, because that's not to say that doing it now is not the right way either.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel more comfortable, especially since it deals with our children, if we were to take our time and maybe just slow down a little bit, get it in the budget. It's not in the budget. Like, there's a couple of reasons why I would want to just delay that. I'd be all for it next budget season. But, you know, making sure we hire the proper staff, making sure we have the proper equipment, making sure that, you know, it commingles with our existing program in our high school. Like, there's just a lot of T's that need crossed and I's that need dotted to make sure it's successful.
That gets done when you get the money, right? You can do that over the winter. All that's administration.
I was going to say, like, usually
Yeah.
when we're
But I
advertising
have a
for a
question.
position
Right.
like that,
Yeah, I
it's
don't
close
know-
to the season anyways.
Yeah, I
so
didn't know
it
how
tends to
that
be-
worked. Like, I didn't know if that would be something we would hire, like, after we approve the budget next year, then we
Yeah.
could hire that person. And I don't know, I don't know how that works. Like, do they put in a certain number of hours before the season starts? Do they get the kids in and get them doing, you know, initial practicing? So I mean, that's a good point. Like, we might wait to hire that person anyway, so.
No, there's no need to do other things. Like, we do have a volunteer, not a volunteer. The kids can come and practice in winter season, but it's voluntary. The kids aren't required
Right.
to show up for a practice. It's just those kids that are really, you know, itching to get out there and aren't doing a winter sport already and want to build on the skills.
So we have to jump at that. Like, you know, if this gets approved tonight, we would have to jump on that and get that going and get
Middle
somebody
school
in those
kids,
positions.
Probably not as much as like the high school kids because they're not. Yeah.
They're doing other things.
Yeah,
It's,
I got
it's
you.
mostly at the high school
Okay.
anyways, the practices, so the middle school kids would have to come over.
I might be making more out of it than what it is.
You
It's
know,
just, I don't know much about, I don't
it's your
know
job.
anything. So
It's your
it's
job
like,
to look into it. I
sounds
get
like
it.
a lot of tasks that would need done in a really shortened period of time. Not to mention it's not in our budget. So that's
gotcha.
just me. Like, for you, you've been there, done that, you know,
Yeah.
so you're like easy breezy. But for me, I'm
Yeah.
just like, ooh, there's a lot to have to do here to get this
We
going,
need
you know?
3 coaches. Honestly, sometimes it's hard to find coaches. Volunteers are out there. If we could just get those 3 coaches and like now, if it would be approved and we could get the ball rolling, we would have plenty of time to get
Okay.
that organized. I know Coach Brandstatter and Coach Miller are like ready to roll with it whenever, and I know we would all be able to work cooperatively
That's
with the
helpful
high
to
school
know.
team.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, to just, you know, okay, you're on the track. We're going to work together with, you know, Coach Brandstatter and Coach Day. All right, you're going to help with the throws, coach. You're going to work out with, you know, Coach Green times 2. There's 2 of them. So, yeah, I don't think it would be.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying about the budget, and I get what you're saying about wanting to do that step first. And I value all of your opinions and what you guys decide to do. That's what your job is. But obviously, I'm just excited, you know,
Yeah.
and I just would love to see
Coach
it.
Ryder, can I ask a question? So, going back to let's visit the idea of the intramural aspect, and it kind of has piqued my interest only because, you know, middle schoolers don't know yet about the program. Could we do almost like a pilot on little to no money and see what kind of interest we can drum up so that by the time summer comes and we pass a budget for the program, we have the money in place, we can start hiring coaches and we know what that next season looks like. Does that make sense? Could we do a pilot, you know,
Yeah.
not
I'm just
not-
trying to figure out
not
logistics in my
necessarily
head.
intramural, or I guess
Well,
we could call it
even,
intramural.
but we still pay intramural.
We still pay intramural.
Right, and so we'd still have to
I'm
create that
confused.
position,
I'm
and we'd
confused
still
about
have
this
to.
intramural thing. I guess I don't understand because the Dover volleyball at the junior high level, I'm a volunteer coach. We're all volunteers, and we've got 80 girls coming out from 4th to 8th grade. We just picked teams last week. We're using the gym. It's the same. It's the same idea. I don't know. We're all volunteers, so I'm confused. It's Coach Neal from 7th and 8th grade. That this is he put this program together last year, and we're using normal gym hours during the week, so no cost. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a way where we can make it work and just develop the interest, have the volunteers, see what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're open to discussion. This is a great opportunity if people are willing to talk it out and see what we can do with no money involved right now for this season coming up, and we can get kids out say, get the chatter started. Hey, next year we're doing it. And then we know, like, there's going to be a lot of kids interested, and we have the money in place, we have the coaches ready. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
A question that I have is if the board needs more time for more information, would November be too late for this to be approved?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be the same outcome as what.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do have a question. So there's coaches' positions that haven't been filled, correct? Assistants, there could be 3 levels deep, cheerleading or whatever.
I'm not sure.
I'm not just saying there's.
There have been.
Budgeted
That's
for
not
football,
unusual,
yeah.
but I don't know if that's true right now.
Like a tennis coach might need an assistant that's probably in the budget for assistant, and if there's not an assistant, where's that money go? It doesn't go anywhere. So there's money right there that's budgeted for a sport that we could use.
I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, so if we get more information
Yeah,
about
let's
that.
take some time and really do our research on all options to see if we can make it happen at like no cost or little as possible. And then if it's intramural, it's intramural, pilot, whatever you want to call it, and next year we get it rolling.
So this is primarily a financial concern.
Yeah,
That's
what it
what's
sounds
boiled down to. Is there any objection to me referring this back to the resource committee and let them work with the administration on where the funding comes from?
You already have a motion and a second. You got to make a decision on this.
Well, we can dispense with it by referring it to committee.
Director Emick, do you have more comments you want to share?
Nope.
Okay,
We just need to move on.
gotcha.
We should have discussed this last Tuesday.
I agree.
That's where it needs to be discussed, in the planning meeting. This is a voting meeting, not a discussion meeting.
We didn't have the MOU last week. That's a big part of the discussion.
It's good discussion.
Any more questions for me? I'll just sit
Okay.
down,
Yeah.
if you're good.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Coach.
Yes.
So we did have an objection to referring this to the committee. I would recommend that we do a motion to table this till we have further information.
I think we should refer it to the resource committee. And
We
that
have-
way,
Well, we'll have to have a motion to do that now since there
because-
was an objection.
Yeah, because the way I see it is, let's take it out of our hands. They come back with all the information. We should have a decision, and then it's done. Instead of tabling it and then having the board come back and do all the open discussion when they can open discuss it in the committee. That's what I think. Yeah, if y'all feel the same way, then however we need to make that happen, let's do it now. So what do I need to say?
Make a motion to table.
I make a motion to table and move it to the resource committee.
Okay. Just a motion to table is sufficient then, and then we'll.
I'll
have
second.
Okay. All right, hold on a second here. Motion tabled by Director Hogan, seconded by Director Whitmer. Is there any further discussion on the motion to table? All right, you ready to call the vote? This is a yes vote, tables the motion.
Nine yes.
And the motion is tabled. Next item on the agenda is the technical director position, agenda item 7.14. I was trying to move it on down the road. Power Ad sponsorship program, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve 7.14.
Director McKinney moves, is there a second?
Second.
Director
Neese seconds the motion, is there any discussion?
We had talked about this in our resource committee last week, and it sounds like a win-win. We can get possibly a new scoreboard out of it, plus some residual revenue going forward.
The big change is this to the public will be hopefully the benefit of a new scoreboard, but there will be ads in our stadiums and in our venues. Any further discussion? This is recommended by, which committee worked this?
Resource Oversight Committee.
The committee recommend
we-
adoption?
We had a joint committee with facilities on this.
And you recommended adoption? Okay.
Yes, we did.
All right. No further discussion?
I just want to say it's hard for me, and I don't know if I don't want to speak for Director Whitmer, but not to be there in that discussion because I'm at another committee meeting. It's just hard to, like, I read it, but I'm like, what does it mean? So I just think it's kind of hard with committees.
You can ask those now.
Did you want a quick overview?
I would love a quick overview. I'm sorry, I know it's late, but.
I've got my notes here, but I probably go off memory. It's a national company who will solicit advertisers for us. They call themselves a professional booster club. That's their slogan. So they'll go out, and they already have quite a portfolio of advertisers and companies that would already do this.
In
that they could
Dover.
get for us.
In Dover.
Yeah, locally, they do York County Schools, Adams County Schools as well. Northeastern and New Oxford have used them successfully to get really nice scoreboards. So they would go out and solicit advertisers for us or sponsors. That those funds would go towards purchasing a new scoreboard, hopefully by next football season is the goal.
So
it's a
it's
10-year commitment, but it would probably take far less time, a year or two hopefully, to get the scoreboard. After that, we'll get royalties. The company will keep 50% of forward future sponsors and donations, and we get the other 50% going forward up till that 10-year mark. So the way they make their money is they get the 50% of the royalties, and we get scoreboards, equipment, and half the cut going forward too.
So it starts out with the high school football.
Yes, in the
scoreboard.
stadium over at the middle school with a scoreboard.
And it looks like the one pictured there? In the
We did
agreement
have a
details.
mock-up of what the scoreboard could look like, yeah.
It's the scoreboard with the 3 banners, gold 1, gold 2, and gold 3.
And that's where the sponsors would
That's
go.
where the sponsors,
And
right.
then there were other images I saw going around the track, the fence. We could put banners all the way around the stadium. It would look, it wouldn't look out of place. Other stadiums do this.
Well, the banners around the stadium, that's a discussion in and of itself because of the Booster Club, right?
No, it won't, it's not gonna be a problem. They don't, they're going to stay away from the sponsors. They work with other schools. They appreciate the fact that the boosters do have sponsors, so they will not be soliciting in competition with the boosters.
The sponsors, I mean, this program.
Yes, they will not be soliciting in competition with the boosters.
So would they put banners up around the fence, this company?
Yes, they will put banners up in places that the current boosters do not have banners.
One of the impacts that I thought of right away was the cheerleaders and the seniors have their pictures all along that fence that faces all the stands on our side. They'll have to move some of those, won't they?
It was mentioned it wouldn't interfere with that.
Yeah, as far as I know, because I know Dr. Wiesling and Mr. App, they went into the pictures where they could hang the banners.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure that they probably stayed away from areas that were already currently utilized.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
Is there the predetermined scoreboard? Because I know that we had talked about options, like there's a really nice option with the digital, where it's all digital, and then there's a more static, the digital, you can rotate the ads through I guess the computer, whereas when it's static, you actually have to put the placard on the scoreboard.
There are options that will just determine how long it takes to get the scoreboard.
And we don't have to make that decision tonight?
No.
It's actually in the agreement, yes, it is.
Oh, it is?
Dr. Wiesling, Mr. App, and Mr. Fluke, they made the decision as to what they thought the scoreboard.
Oh, they chose one. All right.
Yes, it's in the agreement.
The picture that's in here, it's looks like a mock-up, but the one that's got the arch with the D on it, that's in the attachment there, that's the one that,
Yes.
that we pre-selected? With the gold
It's
1,
on,
2, and
it's on
3
slide 7.
Yep.
But
Yes,
it doesn't have the arch with the D. I think they took that off.
Oh, did they?
Yes. I'm
Looks nice.
90% sure that's what they said.
Looks nice with the arch, huh?
Yeah, like,
Okay. Any other questions?
I think there were scoreboards anywhere from 25,000 to 65,000, and the one that they chose is a middle of the road scoreboard. So
They gave us 3 or 4 different options, and they chose from the experience that they had had with previous vendors, they chose the one that they thought would be a best fit for them.
yeah.
definitely an upgrade.
So you pay for the football stadium and then you work towards the basketball as next? Is that how that works?
Well, you can use the funds towards athletic items, like, I don't know, like helmets. So, athletic equipment, but there's a certain parameters around that that they supply. They probably have partnerships with suppliers or something. So, yeah. So the money needs to be spent on athletic equipment. Yeah.
So there's sponsor tiers. Does that?
Yes, there's
are we-
sponsor tiers, yes.
So we're going for gold or silver or
They will try to get us the most bang for the buck.
go for the gold, huh?
That's what
Okay.
we're gonna do, yes, they are.
So they already have like national partnerships with, like, let's say Truist Bank or something. So they'll leverage those national partnerships that they already have with those vendors, you know, whoever's local, CVS, Giant, you know, they might be already, have those relationships in Maryland and other states, you know, so they'll just take whoever's local and leverage those relationships. But I do have a question for you, Mrs. Weaver. Can we do a 5-year agreement, or is it a 10-year because of what we chose?
That's their standard contract.
Standard contract is 10 years.
Yes, it is.
And you talked to people at the surrounding schools like New Oxford and,
Yes, we did, yes. Yes. Mr. App was, he was in touch with them, and they said a lot of positive things.
okay. Any further discussion? All right, Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.15, the technical director position. The technical director analysis is in the attachment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Director Emick moves. Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, who got it first?
Give to you.
Director McKinney. I tell you, he's quick on the trigger. Director McKinney seconds the motion. Is there any discussion?
This was also reviewed by the Resource Oversight Committee. It's going to eliminate 2 other positions, so it will be financially a wash or even a savings. So we did recommend that for approval.
In my opinion, you don't want to go without them.
You can't.
No,
Okay.
key position.
Is there any discussion or questions? All right, you ready to vote?
Yep.
All right, Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 7.16 and 7.17, we took up as the first 2 items, and those were both approved. We now go to agenda item 7.18, which are the policies second reading. Is there a motion to approve? Policies are all listed with the attachments, with the entire policies. You've seen these now 4 times, I think.
I would like to move to approve 7.18 policies.
Director Hogan moves. Is there a second?
Director Meese, second.
Is there any discussion?
Policy, excuse me, policy 626, I have a question. Under guidelines, under the old policy,
Not 626.1, but 626?
626.1, yes.
Okay, all right.
You're correct. Under the old policy, under guidelines, it has the board, an X in front of the board, as well as the Federal General Services Administration. I was just wondering what the reasoning was to not mark the board. Is that a mistake, or is there a reason behind it, or what it was?
That's a good catch. Does anybody have the answer to that?
I'll have to look into it. I don't know off the top of my head.
So those options only apply to the paragraph for mileage reimbursements, right?
Correct.
So mileage reimbursements shall be at the rate approved by the board, or other district travel reimbursements, actual costs for meals, lodging, and other liable expenses shall be reimbursed only to the extent that they are reasonable and do not exceed the per diem limits established by the board. And then the other one is the federal GSA for federal employees for locales were incurred. So both were checked previously.
I looked at the old policy and both of those were checked.
Is there any objection from the administration for checking both of them?
I'm sorry, I'm lost. Where are
So it's 626.1.
Okay.
It's down at the bottom
Under
guidelines.
guidelines.
Go to the bottom of that and right here. It says the board and the federal GSA for federal employees.
Well, mileage rates are always established by the government,
IRS.
the IRS. So we would, I mean, I guess we could always give people more than what they, but I don't.
Well, those check boxes are referring to actual costs for meals, lodging, and other allowable expenses. So the per diem items.
If I may,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't think it bothers or matters if we have both checked. The top just allows us what we already have, I believe, in board policy for meals and those things. GSA provides for mileage, as Dr. Houck had stated, for mileage IRS rate. The others, if we check both, we have pre-established limits for meals, lunch, dinner, breakfast, those things, those items. So I think we should check both.
Yeah, okay.
Does that require it to go back to a first reading since we're modifying it?
I don't believe so.
I think it's de minimis.
Okay.
It's checked before.
I
Is
would
any-
agree.
Any objection to that?
Let's
Any
proceed.
objection from anyone? Okay, so we would be checking both of them on this. All right.
Good catch.
So we have a motion and a second to approve all the policies. We have an agreement with the administration on this one. That was, appears to be a typo. So that should be checked, as we just discussed. Is there any further discussion? All right, Mrs. Almond, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Okay, motion carries. Policies are approved. Finances Agenda item 8.01, bills paid report. This was recommended for approval at our last planning meeting. Is there a motion to approve the bills paid
I'll
report?
make the motion to approve 8.01, bills paid.
Director McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Director Me, second.
Director Mees, second. That was fast. You barely got it. All right, any discussion or questions? Was there any new information?
Nothing new, no. I
Okay.
did an overview last week.
Okay. Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Treasurer's report, agenda item 8.02. Any new information on the treasurer's
Nope,
report?
nothing new. I covered that and recommended it last week. I'll make a motion to approve 8.02.
Director McKinney moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Emig seconds the motion. Any discussion? Mrs. Allman, please call the vote.
Nine yes.
Motion carries. Reports. Dover Eagle Foundation, Director Hogan or McKinney?
I'll take this one. I actually was not able to attend because it was at the exact same time as financial aid night for seniors, so I was there. But I do have the notes from the minutes from the meeting. They discussed popcorn fundraiser, which is starting tomorrow, running through November 12th. Table at the craft show, social media, cards with QR codes. They had 7 grant applications received and sent to Dr. Hauk and to the committee for review. Scholarships in February. They want to recruit more people to come to the meetings, the monthly meetings on the foundation Facebook page. And changing the grant application and distribution dates, changing it to once per year. And they hope to present the grants to teachers on the opening day of school. Old business, it looks like they discussed the EITC again, as I mentioned last month. And that's it.
Any questions for Director McKinney? All right, next is the York Adams Academy report. Director Emig.
We have 7 students enrolled, and our next meeting is next Tuesday night.
Excellent. Any questions for Director Emig? Next is the York County School of Technology report. I'll do that one. They recognized 3 students for Students of the Month. Nathan Grant from Southeastern was awarded Student of the Month for the Power Sports and Engine Technology. Skylar Miller from Spring Grove is in the K through 12 teacher development. And Matthew Walliser from West York was Student of the Month. He's a 12th grader in computer programming and interactive media. The presentations, they do a video for each one of their students and interview them on that. Their videos were exceptional. They spoke to their career field and just very inspirational watching that. Dover's own Colin McGurn, a student there, has been approved by the board to assist with the York School of Technology cafeteria and food service for this year, and he's going to be paid for that. Salaries in the minutes. Some of the dates that they have coming up that you might want to pay attention to, there's a board meeting this Thursday night. Also, Saturday night of this week is their homecoming football game and the dance. The school has an open house on November 13th, which if you've never taken that opportunity, you should really do it. It's a pretty impressive facility, and I think you'll enjoy seeing what they have to offer. November 14th, 15th, 16th, they have the York Tech Theater Fall Play. It's going to be Macbeth of the Dead. Their practical nursing graduation this year is going to be December 16th at 6 p.m. in their auditorium. I passed out to all of you, I guess I should say to each of you, a couple of handouts. There's some and I'm trying to make sure I've got them both here. Let's see the second one. Okay, here it is. So the first one is their full-time enrollment program. This excludes their part-time and flex-time attendees. And so the first one I'm looking at is the distribution by each one of their CTE programs. So it shows the number of applicants, the numbers that were accepted, and the number of students enrolled. Doesn't say where they came from on this sheet, just says the number of students enrolled. So it looks like one of their largest programs is the Information Technology Academy Pathway. And then another large one is the medical professions, and you can see the distribution of how many people they have in each one of their programs. This one might be more relevant to us, for us to know at least, is how many students from Dover are attending this school year. Last year, I think it was around 19 or 20. This year, they have 26 Dover students. 54 of our students applied. They accepted 30, and then out of that 30, some of them declined, so they have 26 of our students that are full-time students at York Tech. You can look at the other school districts and see what the distribution is there. For example, Red Lion has 71 students. York City has 70 students. Dallastown has 49 students. Those are some of the high numbers there. They have a total of 476 students that they actually enrolled this year. So they, I think I'm saying this right, they have about 1,600 students, and they graduate about 400 plus every year. Right. Okay. They put out some information. There were some questions that came up about the school and who has the right to enroll in the school. So one of the answers came back. The Public School Code has several provisions outlining students' rights to participate in career and technical programs. And there's a law that says homeschool students shall be granted the same basis to enroll a CTE school as any other school district students. I don't know if everyone in this area knew that or not. There's also another law that says students from school districts that do not offer a desired approved career CTE program may enroll in another high school or career technical school to obtain such training, and the student school districts of residence shall be responsible to pay for the applicable tuition. There's another law that says students from school districts that do not participate in CTE may be admitted to those schools, and the school districts of residence shall be responsible for applicable tuition fees. And there's some case law in the document here. If any of you have interested in reading that, I can forward it to you via email. And that concludes the report. Any questions? All right. Next is the York Learning Center Joint Authority, Director Miller.
Okay, I hope everybody's ready. We met on October 15th. KCBA Architects and Raymond James Public Finance Group met with us. That's the same group that met with us about our bond. KCBA shared the results of their feasibility study of the York Learning Center, which is the old Central York High School. I hope you've been there and seen what it looks like. The 8 goals of the feasibility study are, I won't read all 8, I'll give you a few of them. To increase enrollment, for a safe and appropriate learning environment, and to address accessibility, and there's others. The superintendent and business managers, you are meeting, I don't know if it's this week, but soon, about all of this as well. So there are 3 options for the feasibility study: renovate, build totally new, or a hybrid model. No decision has been made, but it is definitely going to impact our budget. Right now, we pay $67,250 per year. It's going to at least go up to $120,000 to cover the whatever they decide to do. It could be more. That has not been decided. So I have been talking about this for 2 years now, that this is coming, and it's coming. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'm sure that you all will have more information to share, more details.
There's still a lot of conversation happening
Lots of
around this.
conversation,
No,
yes.
there's nowhere near a decision has been made at this point.
Yes, I just want to throw those numbers out, and that explains my concern with what we're spending our money on, because this is going to be a huge increase. It's kind of scary to me.
What was the total amount of the increase for what we're paying now?
It's all a proposed, so I
Yeah.
don't know. Right now, we pay $67,250 per year. It's going to at least be $120,000, at least. That depends.
Nearly double.
Nearly double, yes. Yes,
That's significant.
very significant, yes.
And this gets approved by the board that you're on?
Yes, yes. And it was even mentioned that we don't have to have our school board's approval to go to vote. I don't personally feel comfortable with that. I'd like to talk to you all about that as well, but I personally feel like I represent this board and this district. And
the
so,
money.
yes. So a lawyer did say we did not have to have our board's approval. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. I think we represent Dover, so.
Well, don't those, because it's a co-op agreement, don't they still go out to the districts for approval? Because I know that the York Tech budget, if they're going to increase, the JOC approves it, but it still has to go out to the districts, right?
We do approve the LAU budget, yes, we do.
So, okay. So it would come to us as an action item on our agenda to approve whatever their new budget is.
That's for the IU, not specifically the York Learning Center.
No, just the IU, yes.
Just the IU.
Yeah.
So the York Learning Center could increase theirs, and that's what you're talking about, doesn't come to us.
That's the way I understand it, yes. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think it's a different setup than your.
It is.
Which has a joint operating committee.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, that's my news.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? All right, next will be the legislative report, Director Whitmer.
Okay. I know you want me to say something about the budget. You don't want to hear that. Okay, but it's National and State School Bus Safety Week. Thought maybe Director Emmig's eyes would perk up. He probably already knows. So the Senate did pass a, that's cute, by unanimous vote, Senate Bill 65, and that would increase stopping distance for motorists following a stopped bus from 10 feet to 15 feet. And the provision will expand a buffer zone for students entering and leaving a school bus. Also, fines will be up to $500 for the first offense. Under current law, fines are $250. Repeat offenses, 60-day driver's license suspension and 5 points, and attend a driver's safety training. So they're getting serious, and they should, right? There are new proposals. This is a different topic. New proposals out there for what cell phone restriction looks like across the state. There was an extensive hearing I listened to today with multiple panels. The first panel included PASA, Superintendent Vukovich, and he's from Windler School District. Also, there was in that panel Raymond Omer, who is from PASA, and he is superintendent for West Middlesex and Reynolds School District. So he doubles up and offered testimony, as very candid, offers testimony from what the school boards from both of those districts decided. And it was very different. One went like, no cell phones. The other one went, we're going to kind of let our people decide this out. And so they handle it very differently. Laura Morton, also from PSBA, she's the tech policy person there, and then also Erin Chapin, who is from PSEA. I will say that overwhelmingly everybody agrees cell phones need to be addressed, and that teachers are up to their eyeballs with frustration with it. I think it's more so at the middle school, high school levels, but they still have to deal with these watches that are going off constantly that kids, even at the elementary level, are wearing, and it's just they have that constant distraction of the ding and the buzz and all that. So they really want to come to some type of understanding on whether or not they need to implement a statewide cell phone policy or put a baseline in, and allow the local governments decide what that looks like. There was some senators from other districts where the access to curriculum textbooks is not there, and the children actually end up using their cell phones to access texts, if that makes sense. And so he's asking us to consider how that would impact school districts such as his, where, we're not that type of school. We don't rely on our the students' phones to be, as their curriculum source. So there's a lot to consider. The discussions are still ongoing. But the Senate bill is 1014. And so they're calling it a bell-to-bell legislative bill. So it would be basically, if they would start with something like that, where other school districts have implemented it, it would be cell phones are off all throughout the day. And I think some districts even say not even at lunch or nothing. We don't even permit them. And then some districts are allowing them to use them in the hallways or at a study hall or at a lunchtime. And so they're talking it out. Lots of early discussion. And that's all I have.
Any idea of the budget, when it's going to be approved?
It got really heated. I was listening to it right before coming down, and both sides are very adamant to stand firm. My personal opinion is this is probably going to be ongoing, unfortunately.
That means I don't get paid.
Sorry.
Is it?
You and a lot of others.
We don't get paid.
I'm
saying we're volunteers.
A lot. I think our district, like we have heard from Miranda, Mrs. Weaver, that we're in okay situation. There are districts just absolutely suffering right now. Lots of agencies suffering, and nursing facilities, just a lot of things. And it's difficult to talk through because there's just a few issues. There's just a few issues that need settled, like 2 issues, and then we could get on with, but yeah, everybody's standing firm, and they're just, yeah.
The cell phone bell-to-bell legislation, what's the teachers union lobbying for on that, do you know? Are they in favor of it?
PSEA?
Yes, PSEA.
Everybody on the panel was in favor, and then they had a student panel. I would tell you those 2 students were differing, one from Milton and one from, where was the other one from? I can't remember where he was from. He was very articulate, and he said he agrees with limiting these. And they said the kids are asking for it. The representative from PSEA, the representative from PASA, they all have stated the kids are coming to them saying, please help us focus. Do something about this problem. We can't even learn. So it's becoming more widely accepted by the students themselves, and they're crying out for it. So I think that's why it's becoming more, a topic that just keeps coming up for discussion. So I think that they're going to continue discussions around this throughout this year.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Any other questions? All right, thank you for that report. Director Wolverton, the ICDC report.
We really had nothing new to report this time. It was just a rehash of small items. The billboard that's going to be placed in the Grandview Golf Course coming into the township, and that was about it.
The Eagle View Park, is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, down to the Grand, oh, that's right.
Coming up
Grandview.
74.
Right, thank you. All right, any questions? PSBA report, Director Meese.
Like President Connolly, I have handouts. There's 3 there. The colorful one is a guide for new school board, school directors that'll come on board. And it's like a little roadmap for monthly exchanges that they can attend throughout next year. So each month, there's a monthly exchange that they can participate in.
Threw it in here.
The next handout is a school board organization guide. This is helpful for the reorganization meeting in December. It's a quick read. And lastly, there is on November 10th, this is a handout for, again, the reorg meeting. There's on November 10th at 12 p.m., there's a free seminar that you can join if you just go online to PSBA and you register for that. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information and how to be supportive of any new school directors that come on board, and also the information that PSBA helps with guiding in the reorg process. That's all I have.
Excellent. Any questions for Director Meese? Very well. Dr. Houck for the superintendent's report.
I have a few things. Wanted to inform everybody, if you didn't see it, that we had this incredible Fire Prevention Month activity happening where the Dover Fire Company offered a coloring contest and a poster making contest, and they chose 2 kids from each school as winners, and they gave them a ride to school with their teachers on the fire truck. And so, yeah, all the other kids lined up and watched them arrive on the fire truck. It just was a great way for us to build a connection between the school and the fire department. And you know, as our first responders, we actually sent them some donuts as a thank you for doing that for our students. So we're looking forward to continuing that partnership that we have with them. We need to congratulate Olivia Murrin. She received a letter of commendation from the National Merit Scholarship Program. Commended students are those who place among the top 50,000 students who enter the 2026 competition by taking the PSATs. That's 50,000 out of 1.3 million. So she was in the top 50,000. So that's an incredible accomplishment. We had a lot of athletes of the week. I'm just going to name them quickly because it's a lot. Elliot Klein from soccer, Lawson Leeper for golf, Lincoln Decker for football, Elliot Klein for Dover soccer, Lawson Leeper again for golf, and Ace Looks for football. And we had Tristan Smallwood, who was selected as the player of the week. For football, we had Dylan Haley and Robmere Borders. Dylan was a senior member of the boys soccer team, and Robmere is a junior member of the football team. Congratulations to Braxton Deerdorf, Lawson Leeper, Patrick Knob, and Taryn Shurock, who competed at the District 3 Golf Championships that was held at the Honey Run Golf Club on October 2nd. Lawson placed second at the District 3 competition, and Lawson, Leeper, and Patrick Knob advanced to the State Golf Championships that were held at the Penn State Golf Courses yesterday and today. Lawson Leeper finished the tournament tied for 21st place out of 72, so he did very well. And then Patrick Knob, he tied for 65th place. So congratulations to both of those, making it to the state championships. Congratulations to Kira Ryder, Xander Myers, Matthew McKinney, and Nathan Mung for advancing to the PIAA District 3 Cross Country Championships that will be held at Big Spring High School this Saturday, right?
Yep.
This past Saturday, Dover hosted the 2025 York County Chorus Festival. It was a lovely show. I believe there was a Mr. Jackson Parr there, that was invited to participate. They are the best of the best singers in York County. It was really a lovely concert. We have the band show coming up this Saturday at 6 o'clock, and do not forget the most amazing craft show I have ever been to that takes place at our high school on November 8th. If you like crafts, I mean, it's huge. So you'll want to check that out. I think the last thing that I want to say is just kind of a remembrance for the Northern York County Regional Police Department officers that were killed. I don't think we had an opportunity to do that as a board. I had the honor of meeting all three of those officers as my work here at the superintendent. They've been, they've helped us with football games. I've had meetings with them. The district did raise over $1,000. I can't remember the exact number, but it was well over $1,000 to contribute to their fund for their families. So just wanted to say that we share in the grief of that community.
All right, thank you, Dr. Houck. Any questions for Dr. Houck?
I think I will just add actually to that. Interesting, after that happened, I had asked, do we think there might be some legislation that comes out of this in the way of maybe some devices, extra support for them, or training or whatnot? And I didn't see much reaction, but just today I was reading about a bill that it sounds as though this has spurred that initiative to make sure that our local police departments are going to get really trained, get the equipment they need, go through some new protocol, and just they're going to, I think, hash this out, like redo how they think about some of these types of scenarios. And so good will come from the bad, and I'm thankful.
All right. This takes us to our second public comment period. Anybody seeking to make public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is closed. Comments and observations from the board. Start over here with Director Wolverton.
Good.
Dr. Whitmer?
Nothing.
Reese?
I don't have anything.
No, no? Okay. I always look forward to your comments.
Really?
Yep.
I'll have to come up with one next time.
Director McKinney?
Come to the band show on Saturday. Next.
Dr. Houck?
Nothing.
Anything? Director, I don't have any. Kendall? Director Emig?
The 50th class reunion wants to thank Dr. Houck and Dr. Weisling for seeing to it that they got into the football game last Friday with no charge, and they had a special seating arrangement for them, and they made an announcement that they were in attendance. So we thank you very much.
Very nice. Very nice. Director Miller?
Just want to say thank you for those donations. There was a medal lathe and then conference tables from the Northern York Regional Police. So thanks for those donations. It's great. Appreciate that.
Very good. Director Hogan? Dr. Houck mentioned the officers. The memorial that was done over here at the Eagle View Park, that was very tastefully done. That was kind of a serene environment where they lined that whole sidewalk that goes out to the pavilion with those, they were just bags with the little blue lights in them, but it really was kind of a special event, and Dr. Houck attended that as well. It was actually very well attended for a rainy night. But there's some pretty cool pictures that came out of that because it was misting, and so it made it look like the pavilion was a shrine with the light shining out of that. So if you get a chance to look at those pictures, but it's a great way to honor our lost officers. That's all I have. Future meeting? Yes.
Sorry, I did, you reminded me of something. And senior night. So senior night on Friday night at the football game for the football players, the cheerleaders, and the band members was awesome. So organized. It started right on time. Mrs. Fasek is like my spirit animal. I love her. But I did see a Facebook post. I don't think that it was anything negative about the evening, but I just want to take this opportunity to honor Cameron Lowry. I'm not familiar with the situation or him as a student, but he would have been a senior that evening. So I just wanted to take that opportunity since, like I said, I don't have knowledge of it, but his dad made it public, so I don't think it's out of line to just publicly mention that he would have been a senior that night. So just to keep his family in your prayers.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thanks for the comments. All right, our future meeting announcements, November 11th, which is, that's Veterans Day, right?
Yes.
So we'll be meeting here for committee meetings and board planning meeting on Veterans Day. There is an event that's going on that morning at 7:30, is that right? I forget the time. Director Wolverton has been specifically invited to that event as a veteran. It's going to be at the Wagglestown Elementary School. I forget the time, so I encourage people that are listening to just look that up. Do you remember?
I have it right now confused between two different events. I'm sorry, I couldn't give you the correct.
Okay. All right, very well. And then November 18th, there's our board voting meeting, and then it'll be Thanksgiving break. Hard to believe. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Director Emig, right on time for that. Is there a second?
Second.
Director McKinney seconds the motion. Any objection? Meeting is adjourned.